Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday night. Sorry for the late start. I had some things going on that I just had to take care of, and I couldn't get started at 10. So I figured I'd start at 11. And then I ended up being a minute late because, well, stuff came up. Just is what it is. So Pat Hacker says, no show tonight? No, see what happened was I set up the show, all right, on StreamYard, and it set it up for after midnight because it tries to set it up for like 2 hours or something ahead of time, 3 hours ahead of time, something like that. So I'm like, no, I want to do it. So I changed it to PM and stuff, and I didn't change the date. So it said it was for tomorrow. And then once I saw his message, I went, oh, what the hell? And I went, whoop, and I fixed it. So just hit the go button. Yeah, well, whatever. Hey, Mike, how you doing tonight? None of your business. Good evening. Marjorie Smith, what's up? Sharon Tyler, Catherine K, how you doing? Hey. And For Doxy Mom, what's up? And Mika, what's up? Doc, life is more important than you two. Yeah, it is. It is. It's okay, Jim. We all have lives. Well, at least some of us do. Well, and Renee Collins, hey, what's up? Well, we got some stories to talk about. There is some news besides, obviously everybody knows this memorial for Charlie Kirk was today, and it was like 7 hours long. And so, I'm not going to just play a bunch of stuff from that. So I have some other stories to talk about, and I have some stuff, depending on how things go. If we end up going in overtime, I can always pull some stuff from Thursday or Wednesday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You watched the Charlie Kirk Memorial with Joe and Andrew? Yeah, I was watching it with them too, but I would have joined them, but I wasn't invited. What are you going to do? Anyway, but as usual, there is a goal. For every $75 in total we collect across all platforms, I'll extend the show by an hour and get into other topics. We have Bella Vision, which is the camera of the Bella, and I don't know what it is. Oh my God, a helicopter! What the hell's going on? It's Air Force One. It just landed on my lawn, or Marine One, the helicopter. All right. Funny joke. Yes. As you can tell, I got some new audio clips. So, yes, I'm under attack. I'm under. What's this? If you didn't see the DM, I DM'd you a clip of Hasan freaking out after Trump explicitly called him, Destiny, and other scumbags out. Yeah, I love the smell of napalm. Hey, Daniel Gagax, what's? Thank you, Jan. I don't know, and I'm having I had to reboot my computer late starting anyway because nothing was seeming to want to work right. So I don't know. They're very mad at me. They're very mad at me. What else have I got here? I did get this one. What? I got some new audio. We'll see if did I watch Erica's speech at Charlie's funeral? Yes, I did, and I also watched Trump's speech. I watched basically the whole thing. I did watch the whole thing, and did I see that post from Destiny today? What an evil person! No, I didn't see any post from Destiny. I was kind of, All right, well here. Oh, and with that $10, it says, let's start chipping away at the goal. Well, thank you very much for the $10. That's awesome. Thank you very much. That'll go applied. As you can see, I got a bell. People were asking for a bell. So there's a bell. I also have this. But I don't know which one is better. You'll DM me. I need the retard alert sound from South Park. I'll look for it. Bell is bell. Yeah, you like Bell is bell? I like Bell is bell. The bell is bell. Mm-hmm. Ads up. All right. See, I forgot to shut the ads off. Mm-hmm. All right, they're off now. There we go. All right, sorry about that. Should be fine now. All right. We'll get money from Pink Floyd. Well, yeah, but thanks. I appreciate it. Well, yeah, but like the beginning of Money, you got to be careful though, because if you play too much of it, though, you'll get clipped. You got to be really careful. Oh, King of Justice #3 is now on Global Comics. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, if you guys don't know, Andrew Rowland is a comic book artist and author. He's got a book called King of Justice. I've read #1 and 2. Very good. I don't think I have 3 yet. I'm pretty sure I don't have 3 yet. I probably don't have 3 yet, so I'll have to check it out. So anyway, let me fix the banner here. So we are now hold on, we are now 64. Come on. I'm having so much trouble today. I don't know what's going on. $65 away from the first additional hour. Yes. All right. #3 is Global Comics only. Okay. Or is that like PDF download or just internet only? I'm not familiar. Rumble's already freezing. Go figure. There's been a lot of internet issues today, so I don't have an answer for it per se. You know, I don't have an answer. I don't know why. I don't know why it doesn't. I don't know why everything has to be a problem for me. Like everyone wants to. All right, so we're there. Hey, 60 people watching. That's cool. Please hit the like button if you haven't already, and please subscribe. All right, so let's get into this first story. Got a couple clips that I pulled from the thingy. So we're gonna watch a couple clips that I pulled and that I thought were very interesting. And okay.
Why was he killed?
He was killed because his words made a difference. Because he was showing people the light, and he was killed by the dark.
Thank you, sir. Why was he?
Well, I think Elon Musk said it best. I was very happy to see all that. Wow, why do I look so big? What the hell's going on? Yeah, they did. They made it personal for Elon again. Not smart. Yeah, I don't know if you saw. I have a segment on it that it appears from all accounts that Trump and Elon are back on the same team, as they say. So we'll hopefully see some good stuff come of that. Yeah. Yeah, I had a growth spurt. I ate too much. I had a nice. You can read it for free with Global Comics membership, or you can pay $1.99 for a PDF download. Okay, well, I will definitely buy one. Definitely get it. Hey, Spuds, what's up, man? Or just in speaking terms. What? Sent or just in speaking terms. Okay. Yeah, it was amazing to see him. Yeah. Honestly, I was very worried today with the amount of people that were there and who was there all at the same time. Because basically, it was the who's who of the MAGA movement, Baja movement. You had Bobby Kennedy, you had Pete Hegseth, you had the vice president, the president, the secretary of defense, the secretary of state. You had the secretary of health and human services. You had like all these people, plus all the congressmen and senators. There was no Democrats there. So if something was to happen, we would have ended up with a whole Democrat government. That would have been insane. I mean, I guess that would have been basically the end of America, because there's somebody came out of hiding. There was some protests there. Some real scumbags were there, and they left the big mess and stuff. But let's not. I'm not sure who they were exactly. But here, and then there was this thing I wanted to show because I saw this guy. I thought this was great because this kind of debunks the whole Charlie Kirk is a racist thing. It says a supporter who traveled across the country to celebrate Charlie Kirk's life says it's no surprise the stadium is at full capacity, crediting the late Turning Point USA CEO with inspiring him to speak out about his beliefs. It was to be expected. If you ask me, he was a very loved man. He's going to be missed. Yeah. Usually they're not supposed to be at the same place like that. Yeah, along with the Secretary of State and the Secretary of War, Defense, whatever you want to call it, and other people. It's like, was Speaker Johnson there? Well, I didn't see Johnson, but it would make sense that he wasn't there because he's third in line. Because if something happened to Trump and JD, then it would have been the Speaker. So if those three were there, then it would have been like the pro tem of the Senate or something like that, the President pro temp of the Senate. So, because the Secretary of State was there also, Rubio was there. So, like, he was there. Okay, well, see, that would have been somebody had to be a designated survivor. Yeah, it wasn't, and that's what I'm saying. Who was it? Probably a Democrat or something. So let's watch this because this I thought was very very touching.
Adrian from Missouri, come on over here real quick. You came from across the country. Why'd you feel it was important to come out?
To show my support. It's sad what happened to Charlie. I actually got to meet the man. He's a very humble man, a very spiritual man, and I love that about him. And I just love how he stood up for America and how he was able to help Donald Trump get into office and how he talks to the youth and gives everybody a fresh shot. So I just wanted to come and show my support.
What do you think about the fact that for his memorial service, it filled up to capacity like that, 60,000 people? You got thousands more trying to go into this overflow. Just talk about the crowds you're seeing out here.
It was to be expected, if you ask me. He was a very loved man. He's going to be missed. I mean, Charlie, he always brought out big.
Seriously?
What's your plan? You're going to go to overflow? You're going to just hang out here? What's your deal?
I'm planning on going to overflow.
All right, everybody, hold on a second. I'm going to have to refresh, so it's going to kick me out because StreamYard is acting ridiculous. Let me do a speed test. Hold on. I'm giving warning signs. My screen just zicked in and out on me. I know. Did it freeze and jump for all you guys? StreamYard. I don't understand. I mean, the amount of money, it's like, StreamYard is over $800 a year. So it's like, you're talking 60, 70 bucks a month I'm paying for StreamYard. So this is ridiculous. All right, I'm going to back it up. We're going to start this over. We'll watch this again. All right.
Adrian from Missouri, come on over here real quick. You came from across the country. Why'd you feel it was important to come out?
To show my support. It's sad what happened to Charlie. I actually got to meet.
Seriously? They picked the 92-year-old Chuck Grassley to be the designated survivor? What is wrong with them? StreamYard always has issues. Yeah, it is, man. It's pissing me off. I guess I'm going to have to break down and have somebody give me a crash course in using OBS so I can Yeah, it's not my internet. It's StreamYard. It's not my internet. It's StreamYard.
Meet the man. He's a very humble man, very spiritual man, and I love that about him. And I just love how he stood up for America and how he was able to help Donald Trump get into office and how he talks to the youth and gives everybody a fresh shot. So I just wanted to come and show my support.
What do you think about the fact that for his memorial service, it filled up to capacity like that, 60,000 people. You got thousands more trying to go into this overflow. Just talk about the crowds you're seeing out here.
It was to be expected, if you ask me. He was a very loved man. He's going to be missed. I mean, Charlie he always brought out big crowds, and he always stayed on relevant topics, and he speaks very well. So I think that a lot of people wanted to know him personally. We all felt like we knew him personally.
And what's your plan? You're going to go to overflow? You're going to just hang out here? What's your deal?
I'm planning on going to overflow. Absolutely. And I plan on speaking out a lot more too. He actually inspired me. I'm usually a little bit more reserved when it comes to speaking out and being loud about things, but he really woke me up. And I'm a lot older than him. I'm 42. So he inspired me to just want to speak more and give my opinion because I don't think this should go in vain.
It sounds like he had that effect on a lot of people. More than 62,000 new Turning Point USA chapters being requested across the country. Adrian from Missouri, nice to meet you. Thanks for your time.
The survivor is usually it. I don't know. Maybe there is a thing, but it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that's senior like Chuck Grassley if he's the president pro temp of the Senate. Is that why they picked him? But it could have been anybody. It could have been like Alina Habba or something. It could have been anybody that's it has to be somebody confirmed by the Senate. That's all it is. It has to be somebody confirmed by the Senate. I'm pretty sure. Or I don't know. No, because actually the Speaker of the House isn't confirmed by the Senate. So he could have been a lone survivor, and it couldn't have. Trying to think, because it could be a low-level person. It could be like a head of any agency head. It could be the lone survivor. There is an official list. There's an official list of them, yeah. But I mean, it's just I don't think it's like set. I don't think it's set in stone who it is. I think they could pick who it is, whoever they want. Oh, I don't know. It says, what's this? OBS isn't bad once you get used to the lingo. Luckily, there's a ton of videos on it. YouTube just filter out the old ones since it had a major update recently. Yeah, I just don't get. I tried using it and I was messing with it and I just couldn't get everything I was doing and I thought I had it working and all of a sudden everything disappeared and I had to start all over. I guess I didn't save something correctly and I was like, and it's like I don't have a lot of free time to play on the computer to learn how to use stuff. That's the problem. I have stuff during the day that I'm doing besides when I'm looking for story. I spend 4 to 5 hours, sometimes 6 hours a day getting stories and compiling them and doing that stuff. And then I have grandkids that I'm playing with and swimming with and taking places. And I have a boat that I like to go out on occasionally and go fishing and stuff and hang out. So, I have a life that I like to do besides, and it's just like getting a new computer, that's what's it, State, Treasury, Defense, AG, Interior. Yeah. He should have made it Pam Bondi, make her stay away. Ugh. But anyway, 77 people here. Please hit the like if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It's who the president wants as long as they're 35 and born in the USA. Oh. Fishing stream when? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. It's you can't really do a live stream out there though. There's no there's no internet. There's not even any cell service out there. You got to be like you go 10 miles offshore. There's no signal. But anyway, so and thank you though for being a member for 1 month. And then this one I thought was very important. It says Stephen Miller just went off. We are the ones who build, who create, who lift up humanity. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You made him immortal. I have Starlink. It's just not the portable Starlink one. I guess I could get a Starlink for the boat, but they charge the Starlink for a boat. Starlink knows where you are. If you try to hook your Starlink up, Starlink from a boat is like $400 or $500 a month. It's very expensive. It's like why? But it just is because that's how much it costs. Like if you want other service, like the other that they have, the other satellite internet stuff, that they have, it's very expensive too. Not Starlink, the other crappy stuff. So. They cannot imagine that they've awakened. They cannot conceive the army that has arisen in all of us. And now millions will carry on his legacy. We'll devote the rest of our lives to finishing the causes for which Charlie gave us his last measure of devotion. We stand for what is good, virtuous, and noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness. You are jealousy. You are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing, produce nothing, create nothing. You cannot defeat us, slow us, or stop us. We will carry Charlie and Erica in our hearts every single day. And that fight is much harder because of what you did to us. You have no idea the dragon you awakened. So they awoken a dragon? Mm-hmm.
Defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy. And we will devote the rest of our lives to finishing the causes for which Charlie gave his last measure of devotion. You cannot defeat us. You cannot slow us. You cannot stop us. You cannot deter us. We will carry Charlie and Erica in our heart every single day and fight that much harder because of what you did to us. You have no idea the dragon you have awakened. You have no idea how determined we will be to save this civilization, to save the West, to save this republic.
Well, that was pretty cool, right? That was pretty cool, I think. Hey, what's up, Steve? Nice to see you. We'll see come 2026. Well, hopefully, hopefully they don't get rewarded for their bad behavior. Because how long will the media gaslighting continue? Global corporations need to stop funding the pundits. Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, Vance, Miller, RFK, Levitt, and more. It's all Charlie's doing. Yeah, when you hear about these things, like when Trump said that Charlie Kirk is the one who introduced him to JD Vance, that Charlie Kirk was the reason that RFK became part of MAGA. I mean, holy shit, man. Like I follow a lot of this stuff, and I didn't know about the JD Vance stuff. I didn't know that that Charlie Kirk introduced Trump to JD Vance before, well before he was a senator. Anyway, so that's that. Let me see. Let me go look here real quick and see if I can find what the message was. Message request from who? Boring. Oh. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. We'll pull this up just because. So this is Hasan reacts to Donald Trump calling out influencers in his speech. Yeah, Don Jr. and Charlie teamed up on the Vance nomination. Yeah, Charlie Kirk was huge. He was the queen of Trump's chessboard. Seems like it. He seems like he was only 31 years old. I mean, think about that. Think about what he could have did when he actually became, you know, could have ran for governor, senator, all cut short. All right, let's see. So this is Hasan reacting to what Trump says.
And then he just will add on, Charlie loved it when I did this stuff over and over again.
Influencers and others in our society who greeted his assassination with
influencers?
sick approval,
What?
excuses, or even jubilation. You've heard that. So have I. Couldn't believe it.
He's coming
Some of
after
the very same
influencers.
people who spent the last 8 years trying to sit in moral judgment of anyone who disagreed with them about politics suddenly started cheering for a murder. Incredible. You know the names. They're major losers, by the way. That will be proven out in a short period of time. Some of the very people who call you a hater for using the wrong pronoun were filled with glee at the killing of a father with 2 beautiful young children. And the same commentators who this week are screaming fascism over a canceled late-night TV show where the anchor had no talent and no ratings. Last week were implying that Charlie Kirk deserved what happened to him. No side in American politics has a monopoly on disturbed or misguided people.
God.
But there's one part of our political community which believes they have a monopoly on truth, goodness, and virtue, and concludes they have also a monopoly on power, thought, and
I love
speech.
Donald Trump,
Well,
Mr. President.
that's
I love
not
you so
happening
much.
anymore. We've turned that corner very quickly. Tragically, atrocities of this kind, and kind that we saw in Utah, of all places, are the eventual consequence of that kind of thinking. If speech is violence, then some are
I think we're good. I
bound
think
to
we're good. I think we're
conclude that
good.
violence is
We might be
justified.
safe.
You heard 16 million per episode for Jimmy's pay? Seriously? 16 million? No, it can't be. That's a lot of money. Yeah, leave it to, well, Hasan is worried. I think his uncle probably told him that he needs to dial it back because some of the stuff that he said about spilling guts and spill their blood and all this stuff, like, if they have especially he's had actual terrorists on his show, if they get his communications and he's been talking to terrorists, and 16 million per season. Yeah, his pay 16 million per season for Jimmy's pay, probably. Yeah. No, plus everyone else. Yeah. I mean, that sounds about right. I mean, for a 5 nights a week, a TV show, that's not that much, really. I mean, you think about those people from like the Big Bang Theory and, Friends, shows like that. But like the Big Bang Theory, those guys were making like 3 million, 4 million per episode each. Hey, Sunshine, so glad for you could join us tonight. Always nice to have some sunshine in the chat. So, just came on. What's going on? Who's the guy in the bottom right corner? That is Hasan Piker, Hasan the Hun, known leftist, communist, radical, terrorist sympathizer. So, yeah, and he got all scared when Trump started talking about the influencers that were cheering it on, saying, yeah, they're going to be proven out here real shortly. So he got all scared and ran and got a hat and put it on. Yeah, Don Jr., when he did the impression of his dad talking to him, that was good too. All right, let me see here. Was there someone else that sent me something? Okay. Yeah, so here, we'll do this one. I think this is the last one that someone sent me. It says, the Charlie Kirk Memorial is indistinguishable from a Nazi rally, and F anyone who wants to pretend it's not. Wow. Jesus loves you. Mm-hmm. There's Destiny. Whoa. The cast of Friends still makes 20 million each year from royalties. Yeah, yeah. No, I was just talking about like the base salary, like not residuals or nothing like that. I'm talking about like Big Bang Theory. Like I remember like the last this like the seasons before the last or whatever, they each got a raise like 2 or 3 billion each per episode. And basically, like in I think if I'm not mistaken, Jim Parsons and Johnny Galecki and Kaylee Coco basically forced them to give the other people the same amount of money too. We're like, no, you can't. We're a group, so to pay them all. Like even Bernadette, and I don't know her, I can't remember her name. And then the lady who played the girl who played Amy, I can't remember her name either. She played Blossom too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big Bang, you know. I don't know. It could have been like, did you ever see the Big Bang Theory pilot that's on YouTube? Like the pilot when it was, like before they had, it was before they had, it was just Sheldon and it was a different Penny. Yeah. Yeah, it's just the last 3 years, Sheldon, Penny, and Leonard took a pay cut to 2 million a show. Yeah, to get the other people 2 million, right? To give them all the same money. I think. If I thought I read that right. Mayim Bialik, yeah, she's a good actress and everything. She's actually a neurosurgeon in real life. So here's the Hill says Charlie Kirk's memorial, 5 takeaways.
It's not just an attack on one man or one movement. It was an attack on our entire nation. That was a horrible attack on the United States of America. It was an assault on our most sacred liberties and God-given rights. The gun was pointed at him, but the bullet was aimed at all of us. That bullet was aimed at every one of us. Indeed, Charlie was killed for expressing the very ideas that virtually everyone in this arena and most other places throughout our country deeply believed in. But the assassin failed in his quest because Charlie's message has not been silenced. It now is bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and it's not even close.
You've got a subscription for streaming movies and music.
No.
Maybe even one.
No. So, tens of thousands of people gathered in Arizona on Sunday for a memorial service honoring conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was killed during a campus event in Utah earlier this month. The event was held at the State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, and drew thousands of Trump administration officials, GOP lawmakers, and prominent conservatives, along with thousands of supporters, tens of thousands of supporters. Hundreds, over 100,000 people were there, easy. Speakers reflected on Kirk's life and legacy and the path forward at a point of heightened tensions. And here's 5 takeaways. Trump leans into politics. While most of the speakers on Sunday were focused on Kirk's legacy, his faith, and the movement that he helped build, President Trump did not shy away from the political divisions that have in some way been exacerbated since Kirk's death. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponents, and I don't want the best for them. Did Trump actually say that? I don't remember hearing him say he hates his opponents. I don't remember that. Trump noted at one point that Kirk referred to his political rivals as the left, adding that he preferred the term radical left or radical left lunatics. The president's remark veered frequently into political territory that resembled a campaign speech. What the hell? Trump spoke about plans for an announcement on Monday about autism. He claimed Democrats cheated like dogs in 2020. Yes, they did. They cheated like dogs. And he mocked former President Biden for being a corrupt, crooked, dementia-ridden fool, probably. And he touted tariffs he has imposed since taking office. Kirk's death has sparked a renewed discussion about the rising political violence from the left and calls from some lawmakers to lower the temperature. But those efforts have already sputtered as the Trump administration threatens to crack down on speech it views as hateful, and Democrats argue Kirk's death should not obscure the more inflammatory things he said. Okay. Yeah, they actually, I don't know if they realized that by them cheating and doing what they did, this President Trump is way different than it would have been 2021 President Trump. You think he said he hates his enemies? Yeah, probably 150,000 people easy. Yeah. President Vance acknowledged the heightened tensions during his remark. In the wake of his death, we have seen some of the very worst parts of humanity. We have watched people slander him. We have watched people justify his murder and celebrate his death. And I know this has made me angry, just as it made you angry, but it's easy in these moments to see only the worst in our fellow man. I tried, and then it popped back up again. Do dogs cheat? I don't know. I think it's one of them things. He's like one of them sayings, like "you dirty dog, you," or "dog day afternoon," or "dog days of summer," or "lying dogs, let a sleeping dog lie." I don't know. Like, I don't have an answer for it. Erica Kirk steps into the national spotlight. Erica Kirk has become a household name in the days since her husband was killed at Uvu, and her remarks on Sunday were her most significant appearance yet. Kirk dabbed the tears from her eyes through her remarks and broke down at one point when she said she forgave the suspect who shot and killed her husband. Well, that's the Christian. Yeah, remember? Biden said, called that guy a lying dog-faced pony soldier. Yeah. If GOP had any stones, they would remove AOC from her committees for the lies she told on the floor. These people, man, I don't know. Dogs are opportunists, but not above cheating. Okay. Well, I mean, they do, don't they say like a guy who runs around cheating and stuff, they call him a dog, don't they? And she said, "I love you, Charlie baby, and I will make you proud," at the end of her 25-minute speech, earning a rapturous applause. And she vowed to carry on her husband's work, which she said was focused on persuading young men like the one who killed Charlie Kirk. The Turning Point USA board last week voted to make Erica the next CEO. The world needs Turning Point USA. It needs a group that will point young people away from the path of misery and sin. She said she vowing campus events will continue. It needs something that will lead people away from the hell in this world and in the next. It needs young people pointed in the direction of truth and beauty. And so I promise you today, every part of our work will become greater. Trump administration was well represented. The White House flew 2 planes full of staff, lawmakers, and administration officials to Charlie Kirk's memorial, reflecting how closely intertwined Turning Point USA founder was with the Trump administration. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Health and Human Services Bobby Kennedy, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. Wow. Our whole administration is here, Vance said, not only because we love Charlie as a friend, even though we did, but because we know we wouldn't be here without him. Hearing she forgives the murderer, let me know my Christianity is not where it should be. There's no way I'd forgive that monster. I don't forgive him, and it's not even my, like my loved one or anything like that. Like I'm a little more Old Testament when it comes to stuff like that. Like, Susie got very muted applause. I hope Trump noticed. The White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller warned that political enemies that they had awakened a movement that could not comprehend and that Kirk would be immortalized. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk. You thought you made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk, and now millions will carry on his legacy. How's this for a prediction? In 2045, President Trump will sign the Charlie Kirk national holiday into law. Would that be a President Barron Trump or a President Eric Trump or a Don Jr. Trump? Which Trump? Or Ivanka Trump? Which one? Yeah. Andrew Rowland says, he talked to his pastor, and the pastor said there's nothing in the Bible that says you must forgive those who are unrepentant and are not sorry for their actions. But isn't that between them and God, though? isn't it like I know it's the Christian thing to do. You're supposed to forgive them so it doesn't eat you up inside. That's probably why. She didn't do it for him. She did it for herself, I think. So that way it's not eating at her. Because if you can let that anger and bitterness, it can poison you for the rest of your life. Like, I can understand. Mm-hmm. Tiffany Trump. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sergio Gore, a longtime Trump aide, said Kirk was all Trump and embodied MAGA. Charlie embodied the spirit of MAGA, always fighting for America, never backing down. Former director of presidential personnel who has since been tapped as ambassador to India. Mm-hmm. As Gabbard said, Kirk's legacy was reflective of the importance of the free speech and free debate. Remarks that stood out at a time when the administration is facing backlash from the left and the right for attempting to punish speech it doesn't like. Okay, nobody's punishing speech. See, this is a bunch of bullshit. The government's not punishing speech. It's the businesses punishing speech because they don't want to be associated with it in their business. Now, all of a sudden, they're against that when that's what they've done for the past 10, 12 years is cancel people for saying things, even saying things 10, 20 years ago. Yeah. Free speech is the foundation of our democratic republic. We must protect it at all costs because without it, we'll be lost. Charlie knew this. He lived this. Kirk's faith was central to his life, and speaker after speaker on Sunday invoked that and framed what comes next as a spiritual fight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Byron Donalds would be a great VP. We'll see. I think he's going to be the next Florida governor. TMZ is saying Jimmy Kimmel was offered his job back. Yeah, Biden had FBI embedded in social media companies. They paid Twitter to do their beating. All this is projection on Trump is BS. It is. It's crazy. President Trump said Kirk was a martyr. Former Fox News host Tucker Carlson says Kirk was bringing the gospel to the country. Turning Point spokesman Andrew Colvette called Kirk a prophet. Jack Posobiec, a right-wing comedy, called on attendees to put on the full armor of God and face the evil in high places and a spiritual warfare before us. Oh, what's this? Says a third of you haven't given a like. It's free and it helps the algorithm. It does. It does, definitely. It does. There's 105 people watching and only 64 links. So that means 40 out of the people haven't hit the like, man. Please hit that like. Conservative commentator Benny Johnson made a biblical reference to suggest the Trump administration had been given the power of God to wield the sword for the terror of evil men. That sounds pretty harsh. Yeah. No, I remember when Buck Zuckerberg admitted that the Biden administration told him to censor conservatives. Yeah. Yep. We want to thank the administration for being here and carrying out our godly mission of wielding the sword against evil. Isn't that the job of government to wield a sword against evil? Yeah, it's crazy. The government had nothing to do with Kimmel. There's been plenty of reason for Kimmel's employers and his employers' partners to want him off their time slots for years now. His ratings also suck. Yeah, I'm a casual apparel tonight. Yeah. I was running late. I didn't have a chance to change or nothing, so. And it says the memorial unites factions of the conservative movement. Sunday's event featured a number of guests who were unlikely to be in the same room at another gathering aside, perhaps from the Republican convention. Carlson, the former Fox News host, who's at times been critical of the Trump administration's foreign policy, was among those who spoke about his relationship with Kirk. Posobiec, a fringe figure, Posobiec's not a fringe figure, who was at the center of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, was also given a speaking slot. Did you guys know that the reporter that debunked Pizzagate, that poll reporter behind it, he went to jail for kiddie porn? Yeah, child porn. Tesla CEO Musk was in attendance, was spotted at one point sitting with Trump in a private suite during the memorial. Musk had raised the possibility of starting a new political party in the wake of his bitter fallout with the Trump White House. I think that was all kayfabe. I honestly do. I think that whole thing with Trump and Musk was kayfabe to try and build back some stuff so that Tesla wasn't getting hammered so much from the left, basically. Dana White, the CEO of UFC, was also in attendance. Gabbard, director of national intelligence, former Democrat, had a speaking slot. This is like an old time revival, isn't it? Trump said. So that's it. That's it from them. Obviously CNN's got their got their own thing, takeaways from Charlie Kirk's memorial service. So, President Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and a host of top administration officials vowed Sunday that the mission of slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk would only grow stronger in the wake of his assassination. At a memorial service in Arizona, tens of thousands of supporters. He's bigger now than ever before. He's eternal. Noting he would award Trump the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I'd really like to see a holiday named after him,
I arrived at a Utah hospital to do the unthinkable, to look directly at my husband's murdered body. I saw the wound that ended his life. I felt everything you would expect to feel. I felt shock. I felt horror and a level of heartache that I didn't even know existed. But there was something else too.
Yeah, it was big.
Even in death, I could see the man that I love. I saw the one single gray hair on the side of his head, which I never told him about. Now he knows. Sorry, baby, telling you now, but never told him. Didn't want to. I also saw this. I also saw on his lips the faintest smile. And that told me something important. It revealed to me a great mercy from God in this tragedy. When I saw that, it told me Charlie didn't suffer. Even the doctor told me. It was something so instant that even if Charlie had been shot in the operating room itself, nothing could have been done. There was no pain, there was no fear, no agony. One moment, Charlie was doing what he loved, arguing and debating on campus, fighting for the gospel and truth in front of a big crowd. And then he blinked. He blinked and saw his Savior in paradise. And all the heavenly mysteries were revealed to him. God's love continued to be revealed to me in the days that followed. The next day on the tarmac in Air Force Two, I confronted Usha Vance, precious woman. I held her hand and I told her, honestly, I do not know how I'm going to get through this. She told me something. She said,
Yeah, I see anger in her eyes.
you know when you're on an airplane
I
with your kids,
see retribution.
and it's the
in her
last
eyes.
15 minutes of the flight, and things are crazy. Kids are not cooperating, toys are flying everywhere, and everyone's screaming. And you think to yourself, I cannot wait for this flight to land. And it's 15 minutes before you land. And she told me, you will get through these 15 minutes and the next 15 minutes after that. Usha, I don't think you realized it then, but those words were exactly what I needed to hear.
So yeah, there's this. So here's the crowds. Yeah, so I'm sure, like you guys were saying, that people were making stuff about the hand gestures, about the people with their hands up and stuff. I mean, that's just how I'm not, that's how like the certain Christian religion, sects, whatever you want to call them, offshoots of Christianity, different offshoots of Christianity. They pray like that with their hands up and stuff, and basically pray with their hands up like this instead of like Catholics pray like this, like oh, I don't know. So there's that, and then all right, now we're gonna move on to another story, kind of related. This was the recently fired MSNBC analyst complains that people mourn suspension of Jimmy Kimmel show and not anything about me. This guy's butthurt. That nobody's helping him.
All the shows are talking about how like this is awful for America that Jimmy Kimmel was, indefinitely suspended, and isn't this awful for America? And it's a chilling thing for the First Amendment. And they're saying that on every platform. Not one person has said anything about me. Not one person on that network has said, they've all gone out of their way to say, isn't this horrible what happened to Jimmy Kimmel? Isn't even including Morning Joe and Mika, who went after me after the show, basically saying they were glad I was terminated. And now today they're talking about how awful it is for our country that somebody like Jimmy Kimmel can't say what he said and he is indefinitely suspended.
This is the guy from MSNBC that said this is the guy that first he said it could have been celebratory gunfire from one of his fans in the crowd. That was his first comment. And then he said he's complains that people are lamenting Kirk's show Kimmel's show being canceled and not his. He's recently ousted analysts lamented on Katie Kirk's podcast that people are publicly mourning Jimmy Kimmel but not his own. Kimmel's show was suspended by ABC this week after the host's controversial remarks about the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk suggested he was a MAGA supporter rather than a leftist. Oh. Mm-hmm. FCC Chairman Carr hinted the FCC could take action before two major ABC affiliate owners announced they were preempting Kimmel's program. He's wondering why he got fired. Main character syndrome, totally. Yeah, get this man a Whataburger. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Okay, mm-hmm. All the shows are talking about how like it's awful for America. Yeah, he complained to Katie Couric. A former Republican strategist became an independent and is now a Democrat. So he was always a Democrat. He was just lying about it. It's basically. Yeah, call him a wambulance, definitely. Yeah. Call him a wambulance, definitely. Yeah, call him a wambulance. Yeah. Yeah, Kimmel's losing $40 million a year. Yeah, basically said. He said you can't have these hateful thoughts and words, which are going to lead to hateful actions. So basically, trying to blame it on him. His own stuff. The network was quick to denounce him, declaring the words were inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable before firing him the same evening. Hey, Gundam Zig, what's up, man? On Friday, Dowd complained that nobody on the network has even spoken in his defense because maybe nobody liked you. Look at you. Nobody liked you. They already have the human potato, Stelter. They don't need you. He also criticized the Morning Joe, Mika, and Joe, saying that they went after me after the show, basically saying they were all glad I was terminated. And now today they're talking about how awful it is that Jimmy Kimmel can't say what he said. So, yeah, he's crybaby. And it's just, saying fired MSNBC analyst is crying. We already saw that. But so basically that's it. So he's crying about stuff. And then we got a little bit of news on some other stuff here. So we have there's a U.S. lawmakers push for military dialogue in a rare China visit. So what we have is a bipartisan group of lawmakers went to China, and they're trying to work up their own foreign policy. It appears to me. They want many more shows need canceling. Oh, they do. A bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers pushed for more military-to-military dialogue in a meeting Sunday with China's Premier Li Qiang, a rare congressional visit since the U.S.-China relations soured. The last trip by a group of senators was in 2023. Sunday's delegation was the first from the House of Representatives to visit Beijing since 2019. I have heard from my fellow Christians that this attention on Charlie Kirk might slip into worshiping of him instead of Christ. I can see where they're coming from. Well, I mean, with all the talk of him becoming a martyr, and then you got the Catholic bishop said he was like St. Paul. I don't know. I mean, they're going to have to tone it down a little bit, but I mean, it's not nowhere close to the deification that they did of George Floyd. Lee welcomed the delegates led by Rep. Adam Smith and called it an ice-baking trip that would further the ties between the two countries. It's important for our two countries to have more exchanges and cooperation. This is not only good for our two countries, but also the great significance to the world, Lee said. Smith, a Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, said both sides were in agreement on an overarching aim of the visit. Yeah, both sides, the communists and the Chinese communists and the American communists, known as Democrats. Certainly trade and economy is on top of the list, and we're focused on our military-to-military conversations. Considering that the president is the head of the military, why does a congressman think he has any authority to talk about anything to do with the military to China? Yeah, it's a taxpayer-funded boondoggle. Yeah, it is. The delegation also included Michael Baumgartner, a Republican on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, as well as Ro Khanna and Chrissy Houlihan, both Democrats on the House Armed Services Committee. The lawmakers are in China until Thursday. Who was the leader? Milley? Yeah. U.S.-China relations have taken a downturn since President Trump's first term and have been hobbled by trade tensions and the status of self-ruled island of Taiwan. They're talking about the People's Republic of China, the Republic of China, ROC. Not the People's Republic of China, but the ROC, the Republic of China, which China claims is its own territory. It's never, for the record, Taiwan, the Republic of China, has never been in the control of the Communist Party of China. It's never been part of their territory and never will be. Prior to it being occupied by their fleeing free people of China, the government of Chiang Kai-shek, it was in Japanese control prior to the end of World War II. China and the U.S. are the two most powerful and influential countries in the world. It's really important that we get along and we find a way to peacefully coexist in the world, Smith said. I really welcome your remarks about wanting to build and strengthen that relationship. Oh, yeah. Trump said he would meet with Xi Jinping at a regional summit taking place at the end of October in South Korea, and he will visit China in the early part of next year, following a lengthy phone call between the two on Friday. The Emperor of Japan controlled it. The Emperor of Japan controlled that island for 400 years or 500 years. So there's that. Epic times as you know, U.S. lawmakers push for military communication, trade talks, and rare trip to China. I'm trying to think who that guy is in the front. He looks familiar. The ambassador to China, maybe? Let's say Adam Smith. Who is that person? David Perdue. Okay, that was David Perdue. He used to be a senator from Georgia. And I think he resigned. Yeah. All I'm hearing is the Dems are interfering with the State Department. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me too. So there's that. We got Trump declares Charlie Kirk a martyr for American freedom.
Right for our nation. And so on that terrible day, September 10th, 2025, our greatest evangelist for American liberty became immortal. He's a martyr now for American freedom. I know I speak for everyone here today when I say that none of us will ever forget Charlie Kirk, and neither now will history.
They got Erica Kirk. I forgive the assassin. It's what Charlie would do. Erica Kirk, the widow of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, said she forgave the scumbag assassin of her husband. While speaking at the stadium in Arizona on Sunday for a memorial service for her late husband, Kirk spoke about how her husband passionately wanted to reach and save the lost boys of the West. So yeah, so she said all this stuff. We went through all this. Charlie wanted to help them. He wanted them to have a home at Turning Point USA. Said, my husband would want to save young men just like the one who took his life, that young man. On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That young man, I forgive him. Wow. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
Her speech comes after her late husband was assassinated. So, and New York Post, same thing. Erica Kirk forgives the assassin. And then we had, of course, you had the media, NBC, and these other scumbags out there trying to run some more fake news crap, saying that here it is, NBC's bogus bombshell, the military's Charlie Kirk recruitment campaign that doesn't resist. Yeah, they're trying to say like, oh, they're gonna use Charlie Kirk stuff to try to recruit more right wing men into the military. You don't need work. You don't need to work on recruiting right wing men to the military. That's where they go, usually, mostly. 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 Usually. Maybe. I don't know. The story is from NBC News, which means, of course, there's a pretty good chance it's horse expletive. But then again, there's a chance it's not. For whatever reason, NBC News opted to run it despite the Defense Department's denial. The media is so desperate to attack the administration's success, but they are now inventing lies about our recruitment efforts. Leadership matters, and under the strong leadership of President Trump and Hegseth, men and women are coming out in droves to serve the great nation. That's from Sean Parnell. Naturally, NBC News stuck Parnell's denial all the way down in paragraph 8, 7 paragraphs above where it were made more important. They run the story over the Defense Department's direct denial. NBC News sure has a smoking gun, ironclad proof that they're telling the truth, which I'm sure they'll be sharing soon enough. Otherwise, they'll come across as a vulgar, disgusting hit piece that exploits the memory of the deceased. Pentagon leaders are considering a new recruiting campaign that would encourage young people to honor the legacy of assassinated conservative activist Charlie Kirk by joining the military, according to two officials familiar with the planning. The idea would be to frame the recruiting campaign as a national call to service. Possible slogans that the Pentagon leaders have discussed include Charlie has awakened a generation of warriors. It froze again for a second. Did it freeze again? That sucks. As part of the potential new campaign, Pentagon leaders are considering using chapters of Kirk's political organization, Turning Point USA, at schools across the U.S. as military recruitment centers. This could include inviting recruiters to be present at events or advertising for the military at the chapters. One of them explained that President Trump has credited Kirk and Turning Point USA with helping them win the 2024 election. Daniel Gagak said, in my 20 years in the United States Air Force, it was 64% Libertarian and 1% Democrat. And it was the 1% that was the headache. Yeah. It says, my intuition, some low-level dude in the Defense Department was spitballing ideas, and an NBC News lackey caught wind of it. But I just can't imagine this was greenlit by anyone important. On multiple levels, it would be an extraordinary, misguided initiative. There was a stutter? Okay. Who had a Satanist roommate in the Navy? But that doesn't mean the military shouldn't partner with Turning Point USA whatsoever. The military has a huge advertising budget. The U.S. Army alone is going to be spending over $1 billion this year. And they're required to spend it somewhere, so why not spend it somewhere that honors and respects them? That makes sense, right? Retired Merce says that they found that officers were about 70% Democrats, while enlisted were close to 90% GOP. And you know, more than likely, why? Because those officers went through OCS, went like to college and like ROTC at a college, and then went to the military, not actually the academies. I've found that people that actually, well, years ago anyway, the people that actually went through like Annapolis or went through West Point, those people actually were more conservative than the people that were like in college and then went into the military through OCS. Curiously, the entire NBC News expose, they never said a peep about the most obvious objection. Military members cannot participate in events that could be reasonably viewed as partisan political activities. And Turning Point USA is strongly identified with MAGA and the Republican Party. Specifically prohibited active participation in political fundraising activities, conventions, debates, and political clubs. Additionally, any activity that may be reasonably viewed as directly or indirectly associating the Department of Defense or Department of Homeland Security, in this case the Coast Guard, or any component of these departments with partisan political activity or is otherwise contrary to the spirit and intention of the directive shall be avoided. I don't know about now. West Point is producing a large number of open comments. Yeah, at West Point, that's what I said. I said years ago. Anthony says that he doesn't want to rely on a woman to pull his injured body to safety. You can think of a lot of different things she would be better at. Some things we are better at. I will bring the injured back to you. Yep. The military does not have some legal leeway to partner with politically minded groups. And Turning Point USA is a 501c4 and a 501c3 nonprofit, same as the NRA and the NRA Foundation. And the NRA has partnered with the U.S. military before. Like Turning Point, the NRA is certainly more identified with the right than the left. Yeah. No, it's not exactly the same. The NRA is a single issue advocacy. Turning Point's mission is more open ended to identify, educate, train, and organize students to promote the principles of fiscal responsibility, free markets, and limited government. But I bet you there's enough overlap for a competent legal team to write a persuasive brief. And that's why they get paid the big bucks. Because if they're building a nationwide campaign around Charlie's awakening a generation of warriors, it's not as simple as sticking a rickety recruitment booth in the corner of a Turning Point event. We're talking about title sponsorship and huge financial commitment. I'm guessing it would be an 8 or 9 figure windfall for Turning Point, and After all, the Army committed $11 million into a marketing deal with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and the United Football League in 2024. And what NBC News is suggesting is far more ambitious than that. No. Jan Hill says, did I see Trump talking and taking questions from the press on Air Force One? It was way back to DC. No, I didn't see it. I could look for it. Oh, here we go. All right, I got it right here. We'll pull it up. Well, this one's 13 minutes. This one's 12 minutes. Which one should we watch?
Married? Yes. Congratulations. When did the ceremony?
Hold on, this one's longer. We'll go to this one.
I think we had a great tribute to a great man, a great, wonderful guy. So I hope you liked it. You know, Doug, if you have any energy questions, we're ready.
At the end of the ceremony, Mr. President, you and Erica shared a moment. If you don't mind me asking, what words did you have for her?
I've gotten to know her over the years. She's great. You know, Charlie always used to say she's very smart. He would always say that. You know.
Oh, look at this. We got a. Anthony F. for $5 says, what do you call it when a British person stares at you? A propaganda. A propaganda. I get it. A propaganda. Like a propaganda. A propaganda. All right, cool. I hope you guys like that bell. That's the bell. Bella's bell for the Bell Vision bell. Propaganda. Yeah, I got it. So, and I also have this, but I like this one better. I think that's what I'm going to go with. Thank you very much. Now we are $60 away from the first additional hour or Bellavision. And or Bellavision, whatever comes first. Hey, Grip, what's up? What's up, Grip? How you doing? Nice to see you.
I don't necessarily say that about a lot of people, but he always felt she was. And she's got a good heart, and, you know, she's got a shot at making it even more special if you think about it. She's going to do good. I think she's going to do a good job. That's a hard thing to do. You know, it's one thing to make a speech, but with that, for her to make that speech, because they had a really good relationship.
Mr. President, I'm with Turning Point USA, and we just want to say thank you for being there. Thank you for speaking, and we offer our deepest condolences because I know Charlie was a friend of yours.
Well, that gentleman right there was pointing at you, and I like his question. So that means he thought you would, or make a statement just like you.
They're married.
Are you married?
Yes.
Congratulations. When did the ceremony take place?
I was just wondering. He is. He's the best. I was just wondering because there are a number of spots in and around the White House that are named after specific people. I was wondering if you would be considering naming something after Charlie to honor his legacy.
Yeah, there are different little areas. Yeah, I like that idea. But we're giving him, I think, even more importantly, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest civilian. It's, I guess they say, you know, if you think Congressional Medal of Honor is for military, and this is for the civilian. So that's a great tribute to him. Great guy.
Any details around that upcoming event that you can share with us? Any further details about that event?
I think the event was just a flawless event. It was beautiful. I thought the last song was incredible, the way it was as we were leaving. In fact, I think I said, who is singing that song? And I think what I'll do is I'll grab it and I'll use it at rallies. We have rallies to get people elected, and I'll use it at some of the rallies. Wasn't that beautiful? That was the best rendition I've ever heard.
Mr. President, what can you and your staff do to make sure that over the next 3 years that you carry forth the vision and the faith of Charlie in a way that honors him? What can you guys do over the next 3 years?
I think it's going to be automatic, actually. And I think Turning Point is going to be a very big factor. I mean, you see the people. Now, the press reported 200,000 because they're, different areas, different stadiums and everything. There are a lot of people. That's an NFL stadium. I think it's going to be automatic. I really do. I think it's automatic. They're great people. He had a good staff, and they're great people.
Mr. President, everyone.
How did your husband do with that question? I thought quite good.
Mr. President, everyone's saying that Charlie brought you and Elon back together. Is that true?
Well, Elon came over and said hello. And no, it's nothing to do with that. I thought it was nice. He came over, we had a little conversation. We had a very good relationship, but it was nice that he came over. Dana White was there, the great Dana White. The big question is having the UFC fight as I know you won't accept tickets because you're with the fake news. You're not allowed to accept tickets, but we're going to have a UFC fight right at the White House. And we're going to end up probably 6,000 people in front of the White House. And then on the ellipse, we're going to have 80 or 90,000. It's going to be an unbelievable event. But a lot of people are talking about it.
Question for you, an energy question. You've been calling.
We have the right man. Go ahead.
I got the experts. You've been calling on Europe to stop buying Russian oil. The U.S. has imported $755 million worth of Russian uranium and plutonium so far just this year. That's up from the Biden administration last year, about $100 million. Can you ask Europe to cut off purchasing those kinds of products?
Doug, do you know anything about that?
Well, yeah, absolutely, but this goes back not only drill, baby, drill, but we've got to mine, baby, mine. We allowed ourselves to fall under dependence of both China and Russia for critical minerals. America buying uranium from Russia is not acceptable. And so we're working very hard, Secretary of Energy Chris Wright, myself, to make sure that we've got a plan so that the United States can get back into domestic enriched uranium production as quickly as possible.
Sir, on Venezuela, you said that, let me quote your tweet here.
No boats in the water anymore.
Yes, well, you said...
Additional boats. You don't even find a fishing boat. You don't even find cruise liners anymore. There's nothing in the water near Venezuela. It's actually strange. You know what that means? That means there are no drugs coming in.
You said that the price they'll pay will be incalculable if they don't take people back. What does that mean?
You're going to have to figure that out.
Mr. President,
That one,
Mr.
yeah.
President, on your autism announcement tomorrow, multiple news outlets are reporting that you plan to tie Tylenol to increase risk of autism. Can you confirm that?
We're going to see tomorrow. We're going to do it tomorrow, but I think it's a very big factor. I think you'll see what it is tomorrow. We have various things, but you'll see what it is tomorrow. I think it's going to be a very important news conference, and we want things to take effect immediately. If there's a question, even if there's a question, you just do it, right? But great research has been done. When you think, if you think that, let's say 15 years ago, that 1 in 10,000 were born with autism, and now it's, think of it, 1 in 12, 1 in 10. Boys, 1 in 10 or 12. Two different studies. Girls, it's 1 in 20. Can you imagine 1 in 20? And let's see, 22 years ago, it was 1 in 20,000. But it got down to 1 in 10,000 about 17 years ago, and now it's 1 in 12. Actually, boys are 1 in 12 and 1 in 10. I mean, can you imagine 1 in 10? And it was 1 in 20,000? So there's obviously something artificial that's really wrong. And we think we know what that is.
Are you beginning to announce any link between vaccines and autism?
Tomorrow. Vaccines are very interesting. They can be great, but when you put the wrong stuff in them, they don't. And children get these massive vaccines like you'd give to a horse. Like you'd give to a horse.
A horse.
And I
Horse
said
is
for
a
a
horse,
long
of course,
time,
of course.
no
Unless his
secret.
name is Mr.
Spread it out
Ed.
over 5 years. Get 5 shots, small ones. Did you ever see what they give? They give, for a little baby to be injected with that much fluid, even beyond the actual ingredients. They have sometimes 80 different vaccines in them. It's crazy. It's that's a common sense thing too. It's like you're shooting up a horse. You have a little body, a little baby, and you're pumping this big thing. It's a horrible thing. So I've always felt that. But we'll be having a big discussion tomorrow about autism.
Your son had a very welcoming message today, welcoming people to the Republican Party. Love of country, love of family, love of God. So I asked you, what did the Democrats stand for at this point?
I think chaos, confusion, anger. They're losers. They don't even want to extend the opening. We have a very successful country. If we gave them everything they wanted, they're deranged. If we gave them everything they wanted, they wouldn't extend, in my opinion. They say, they want to meet with me. It's nonsense, but I'll meet with them. But no, they're angry, and they took a big loss, and they're doing worse now than they were during the election. So they're doing very badly. I don't think, actually, I think they stand for chaos. They stand for nothing.
Mr. President, I'm with the Daily Wire, and we've been doing a lot of investigating up with these transgender shooters.
Oh, the transgender
We
shooters.
reported on Friday that the Kavanaugh attempted assassin actually identifies as transgender. We just wanted to get your reaction to that and see if you had heard.
Well, it's too bad. It's a very sad thing going on with that, and I'll have to take a look at it. We have to protect our Supreme Court judges and justices, and Justice Kavanaugh's a great guy. It's horrible. He's been through a lot with this. All of them have, in a way. They didn't give him the proper protection, and we are giving. You saw what, numerous bills, but we just passed another one. We have to protect the Supreme Court. We have to.
And on that same note, there's been so many different shooters who either Charlie's killer lives with a guy who's transgender, the Annunciation shooter was transgender, the Covenant shooter was transgender. Should the FBI be investigating transgender extremism?
We're looking at that, and it seems like, is that just a, what's the reason for it? Yeah, there seems to be something, but we're looking at it very strongly. Something seems to be going on, but you can't make that statement yet. We're looking at it very closely.
Mr. President, back in 2020, 2021, you were banned from Twitter, Facebook, basically every single platform on God's green earth, sir. And now, many people on the left want to throw out cries about First Amendment claims after Jimmy Kimmel's show was canceled. Do you find it hypocritical, sir, after what they did to you?
I did his show before I ran for politics. I did his show many times, and he was never one of the top people. Do you remember during the Academy Awards when he read my truth just before giving out the Best Picture Award? And I said, and what he read was that he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. Look, Jimmy Kimmel suffers from two things. First of all, he said a terrible thing about Charlie. But he also suffers from the fact that he's got no talent and he's got no ratings. A deadly combination. That's deadly. Right?
When's the National Guard going to be arriving in Memphis? He said they'd be coming soon.
Yeah, very soon. And we're going to straighten that up, just like we straightened out Washington. And we're not letting Washington go, by the way. We're not letting. If we didn't go there, Washington right now would be leading the nation in crime. I mean, D.C. leading the nation in crime. And we have it down. It is a beautiful thing. And every person I meet is saying, thank you, sir. They don't care whether it's a National Guard. They don't care what it is. They're not being raped, mugged, shot. Washington, D.C. is now a very safe city. And you know what? I drove through it yesterday. You probably saw. Everything was nice. The grass was. I thought I'd replace the grass. Much of it just has to be replaced. It looks so beautiful. It was so well maintained. And that's by us.
We're getting ready to go to the UN this week, where there's going to be a major push for a two-state solution. Obviously, the U.S. and Israel have not signed on to that. Is there still a possibility in your mind, that there could be a diplomatic solution to this conflict?
So I'd like to see a diplomatic solution. There's a lot of anger and a lot of hatred, you know that. And there has been for a lot of years. This is not something new, but hopefully we'll get something done. We're studying Gaza and dealing with Gaza very strongly. That's a real mess.
The investigation is still ongoing into Charlie Kirk's killer and whether he had ties to groups, but do you have a sense now of whether
You look at what they've seen a lot for an investigation that's ongoing. I think they've done an incredible job.
Have
Even
they found
the shells, the shells, so many different things. What's to say?
Have you found direct links to?
You mean about other people?
And does that affect your decision about how to proceed in terms of pursuing these?
I think, as far as I'm concerned, but they're going to do a final report. Whether other people involved is what you're asking. It would look to me like not. Now, he did have a friend, but I don't. The friend seemed to be a little bit surprised.
Mr. President, in regards to Pam Bondi, who should she focus on as far as bringing accountability?
Everybody, really. It's a big office. She's doing a good job, but focus on everybody. There are a lot of crooked people that were here before me. There are people that almost destroyed our country. If I didn't win this election, our country would be destroyed. We wouldn't have a country right now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow. So that was President Trump saying stuff. There he is exiting, going back to Andrews. This was classic.
We have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand? You know what?
Yeah, I think that's honestly, Bondi is horrible. Yeah. And yeah, Bondi must go. Yeah, she's horrible. That was like the first time a president's ever said the F word, if I'm not mistaken. Ever dropped the F bomb. The F bomb. Mm-hmm. So, and then here's the Pentagon denies the NBC report that Charlie Kirk recruiting campaign, calls it 100% wrong. So we all know it's a bunch of bullshit. Oh, let's see this. Let's see.
Cody and I never chose to live monogamy.
I hate ads. I really do. I can't stand ads. I thought I wouldn't have ads on Opera. I thought I wasn't supposed to have ads because it's just Brave. I thought you guys told me if I used Opera, I wouldn't have ads.
All new at 2, a warning for Democrats and the legacy media as critics say they are failing to grasp the enormous impact of Charlie Kirk's legacy and are oblivious to the political uprising his assassination could ignite. Welcome back to a second hour of America Reports. I'm Sandra Smith in New York. Good to be with you, John.
Good to be with you as well, but we're still on the sad news today, Sandra. I'm John Roberts in Washington. The Wall Street Journal today calling Kirk the man who, quote, helped Republicans break through to young voters. One student describing him as probably the most influential person in our generation. But as tributes pour in on the right, longtime strategist Mark Halperin says, Democrats still aren't grasping that influence or its fallout.
We talked to more than a few Democrats yesterday.
We're gonna come back to that in a second. I want to says Brave has better ad block, and there's the problem, Gundam Zig. Brave, if I use Brave, StreamYard will not recognize the second camera on Brave. It says it will not let me, for whatever reason, on Brave. I can't use a second camera, so that's why I can't use it. So I had to go with Opera because believe it or not. So I don't know. So that's what happened. Hey, hey, K Michael 456. How you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Please hit the like button and please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. But if you're in chat talking, that means you subscribe because I have it on subscribers only. Anyone else who's here, if they haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button too. I think we're kind of slacking here on likes. Let me take a look. It says we got 132 people watching right now, and we only have 91 likes. So that means over 41 people haven't hit the like button. People, come on, people, hit the like button. Only takes a second. It really helps with the algorithm. It really does.
Who had heard of Charlie Kirk? Two things struck me in every one of the conversations. They don't appreciate how significant he was as a force for the movement, but they don't appreciate the bond that people in MAGA have towards him. They're acting like some Republican operative got killed, and we don't know who did it, so how upset can we be? They do not understand. I read everything and watched so much overnight. I do not see liberals in the media understanding this bond and how important that is.
Let's bring in Lisa Booth now, Fox News political analyst, and Doug Schoen is here, Democratic strategist and pollster. Doug, I'll go to you first on this one. So are Democrats in the legacy media really failing to appreciate just how far-reaching Charlie Kirk and his message and his influence were?
I agree, Sandra, with Mark Halperin. I think Charlie Kirk was one of the reasons and principal reasons why young voters moved away from Joe Biden to Donald Trump, and that there was a MAGA connection and a sense of relevance to youth that hadn't existed. But I'd go further, that some voices in my party have been hostile to him and have not seen the need and opportunity for conciliation and coming together is, in my judgment, a symptom of the larger problem my party has.
Because, Lisa, we are hearing takes like this from some members of Congress, Democrat members of Congress, including AOC, and Ilhan Omar responding to Charlie Kirk's death. Listen.
Yeah, there is nothing more up, than to completely pretend that, his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade. These people are full of shit, and it's important for us to call them out.
I don't think a single person who has dedicated their entire career to preventing gun safety legislation from getting passed in this House has any right to blame anybody else but themselves for what is happening.
Lisa?
What's that kind of dehumanization that led to his assassination, to his murder?
I'm on mute. Wow. Cool. How long was I on mute for? Oh God. Anyway, you guys notice how big AOC's getting? She's plumping up nicely. Anyway.
Sandra, it's hard to find the right words to say right now in this moment. Everything just feels inadequate. It feels like what you're saying is just not big enough for where we are right now as a country and a society. But there is a political dynamic to this, yes, obviously. But the spiritual one is so much bigger. And we all know that Charlie wasn't murdered, wasn't assassinated just for his political beliefs. He was assassinated for his faith. He was assassinated because he was a devout Christian, which was the basis for all of his beliefs. That is why he was assassinated. And I also think that's why all of us, millions of people across the world right now, feel this tug on our hearts right now. Because while there's a political battle in front of us, there's a spiritual one that supersedes that. And we're seeing a wickedness and an evilness in this country from people who are dancing on the grave of a great man, a great father, a great husband, someone who just wanted to do good in this country. And I think that's why, even though his killer thought he was silencing Charlie Kirk, he's ignited a fire in the bellies of so many people across the world.
Well, Doug, here's a Democrat with a different take. Here's Senator John Fetterman. Listen.
We can't just be, well, Trump is always wrong, or that we're going to set the country on fire, or whatever. A lot of Americans happen to disagree with you. That does not mean that they are fascists or now they want to shred the Constitution.
because as Mark Halperin also is warning Democrats, the future may be Turning Point USA. Listen to this take.
How much does Turning Point become a wing of the RNC? If they do and they run it well, that could be a private, party-affiliated powerhouse unlike anything we've ever seen in American politics. I'm not saying it will happen, but it could happen because of the grassroots.
Your response, Doug?
2 points. First, Senator Fetterman is exactly right. We need to air our differences, yes, make it clear where we have alternative views, but end the hate, the polarization, and the division. And look, I've debated Charlie Kirk. I knew him reasonably well. I knew him to be a caring and compassionate man. And what Mark Halperin is saying could well happen and galvanize Turning Point USA. Not certain it'll happen, but his legacy is a profound one for those of us who are following, involved in, and look for the best in the political system.
Lisa, I'll let you respond. We got 10 seconds left.
Well, I just say the bullets are flying in one direction. I mean, the left is the party that is engaging in this political terrorism, from the attempted assassination of Steve Scalise to President Trump to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And the reason why is this dehumanization effort that the left has been engaged in by calling people with whom they disagree fascists, Nazis, Hitler. This is the inevitable result of that. And so I appreciate Doug for calling out his party. I just wish that more on the left would do so.
Got it. Appreciate the discussion, both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's interesting, right? That's an interesting report. And this is interesting. I saw this. It says pro-CCP influencers exploit Kirk's assassination to attack the U.S. and divide Americans. AOC is about 35, yeah. Yeah, I saw that from Newsom's press office saying they're going to block Kid Rock from performing in California. That's if they tried that and that's what they're saying the governor's going to do, the governor's actually breaking the law. So it would be funny, because they who cares, let them. Some influencers have reported receiving offers of cash or cryptocurrency in exchange for information and content that serves Beijing's interest. Wait, what? China will pay me if I say stuff like China is not asshole? Pro-Chinese regime, social media influencers and accounts are capitalized on the assassination of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk to attack the United States and sow division. Yeah, I think the local news does a very good job of dividing us all on their own. The Epoch Times, Epoch Times, I don't know, is it Epic? Because Epic, I think, would be EPIC. And this is Epoch Times. Additionally, the Chinese Communist Party has allowed information and comments about Kirk to spread widely on Chinese internet. Many comments that use the assassination to argue the American system of governance is inferior to CCP. In China, the internet is tightly controlled by Beijing censors, and topics are only free to spread and be discussed when allowed by the CCP. Epoch. That's what I thought. Yeah, Jim, it's a different word. But see, I hear a lot of people call it the Epic Times, and I'm like, no, that's epoch, because it's EPOCK, like an epoch, it's a measurement of time. Isn't epoch a measurement of time? It says Kirk was assassinated September 10th. While his death was widely condemned by people on both sides of the political aisle, well, and some of them people on the left didn't really condemn it. They kind of said some other things. Pro-CC accounts have amplified the spread of comments that were disrespectful, offensive, or outright celebrated his death. Oh, so instead of like a couple of years ago, it was Russia that was doing all this division, sowing division and spreading stuff that wasn't really, was amplifying stuff. Russian bot farms, remember? Now it's China bot farms. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Spread comments were disrespectful, offensive, or outright celebrated death, or spread conspiracy theories about who was behind the assassination, including suggestion the U.S. government or Israel were involved. Yeah. Both sides, yeah. That is a stretch. Oh, definitely. Epoch can also be a story, but it's typically referred to as an age of time. That's what I thought. This is the post-Tupac epoch. Cool. Mm-hmm. For example, Zhao Zhezhou, a self-described propagandist for the Chinese armed police, jumped between blaming the incident on American society, Israel, and insinuating the U.S. government was involved. Our country is being led by idiots. Rep. Ilhan Omar responds to threats against her. The epoch of Gilgamesh, yeah. The epic of Gilgamesh. Yeah, epoch, epic. Hmm. When the U.S. War Secretary Pete Hegseth posted the Bible quote, "Well done, good and faithful servant," in Kirk's honor, Zhao replied, "What did he mean by this? Won't be surprised if the shooter was ex-military." Her account has more than 200,000 followers and has been pumping out dozens of posts on X about the incident, many of them suggesting Israel was responsible. Mm-hmm. What the hell? Here's all the posts. Wow. Crazy stuff. Screenshots of pro-CCP social media accounts capitalizing on the assassination of Charlie Kirk to attack the United States. In one post, she included a clip of Kirk interviewing conservative political commentator Ben Shapiro, who's Jewish. You can't see Ben Shapiro's hands, but they are dialing his contact in Mossad to put the hit in, she commented. USA Silly, who lists the Chinese Ministry of Public Security as a location, has more than 120,000 followers, called Kirk Android Redneck and posthumously scolded him for calling the Chinese regime authoritarian. Meanwhile, user Lige888 with nearly 40,000 followers on X routinely calls Chinese critics and CCP traitors, suggested Kirk was invited in assassination by saying those who argue with virtue will surely be put to death. Carl Jha, who posts a pro-China product with nearly 200,000 followers, blamed the assassination on a dysfunctional country to become even more dysfunctional. Wow. Both Jha and Zhao also claimed President Trump's address after the incident was AI generated. By the way, Elvis Western movies are surprisingly good. Oh, cool. Even some non-Chinese pro-CCP accounts have followed the pattern. Okay. A self-described Italian who often travels to China has more than 20,000 followers claimed the assassination demonstrates that the legal system in the U.S. has collapsed. She posted a picture of a distasteful figurine showing Kirk's death. CCP is known for using an army of online bots and trolls to push its agenda on American social media. It appears, however, that these accounts are getting more sophisticated at exploiting existing divisions in American society. Some influencers have reported receiving offers of cash or cryptocurrency in exchange for information and content that serves Beijing's interests. Several Taiwanese influencers produced a documentary detailing a whole industry in China for creating pro-CCP social media posts and personalities. Earlier this year, the Epoch Times discovered a network of thousands of what X calls inauthentic accounts, referring to either paid or AI bot accounts that were promoting CCP talking points on the platform. They were largely employed to attack the Falun Gong faith group, which the CCP has been trying to eliminate in China and abroad since 1999. Don't you know they're gonna party like it's 1999? Bum, bum. Many of the accounts were also used to attack other Chinese dissidents and America more broadly. X removed most of the accounts upon being alerted to the issue, but new ones are continually being created. Look at them all. Yeah, look at them all. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. Wow, that's a lot of accounts there. I wonder how many times. Mm-hmm. Careful, too many fair statements are juice, or is it real? And gripers will appear like Beetlejuice. Artificial intelligence has been a major tool of the CCP in streamlining the production of sophisticated fake accounts. Multiple experts previously told the Epoch Times in recent years, Beijing appears to be more adept at roping in non-Chinese influencers and producing English language content. Typical themes include glorification of CCP's communist system and governance, usually through touting state-sponsored infrastructure and planned high-tech projects, as well as claims of low crime rates in China, and on the other hand, portraying America's system of governance as dysfunctional, and by highlighting issues such as crime and homelessness and sowing division among Americans. Well, crime and homelessness is a problem in the United States. Our system of governance has become rather dysfunctional. I don't understand. I mean, I don't want other people telling me, he's like, I know this. I'm an American. I have a right to say it, but I don't want other people. It kind of pisses me off that other countries, especially China, is talking shit on us, talking smack. Currently, pro-CCP influencers appear to be especially focused on inflaming divisions over the Israeli-Hamas war. Well, yeah, after CCP, yeah. See, I'm pretty sure the CCP who's paying a lot of this money that's going to these protesters. You know, Code Pink is definitely tied to the CCP. So is the DSA and all this stuff. Probably Antifa money too. So all we need to do is we need to tie the links up and prove that money is coming from foreign sources, paying for the stuff, that it's a foreign terrorist organization, and then they're gone. The CCP recruits intel officers before college. How many 600,000 students on visas are going to be operating as foreign assets in our universities? Every one of them. Every single one of them will. Okay. And we got this story. It says North Korea can talk to the U.S. if it stops insisting on denuclearization. So North Korea says they'll talk to us if we stop asking them to get rid of their nukes. Seoul. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said there is no reason to avoid dialogue with the U.S. if Washington stops insisting his country give up nuclear weapons, but he will never trade away the nuclear arsenal to be free of sanctions, state media reported on Monday. Yeah, I mean, didn't they see what happens? Anytime a dictator or someone gives up their nuclear program, not even just their weapons, but gives it up, they end up getting schwacked. Look at the list. Not us, U.S. In a speech at the Supreme People's Assembly on Sunday, Kim said, "Personally, I still have fond memories of President Trump. The two leaders met 3 times during Trump's first presidency. The comments come at a time the new liberal government in Seoul is urging Trump to take the lead in reopening dialogue with Kim 6 years after all peace talks with Pyongyang collapsed over a clash on sanctions and nuclear dismantlement. It was a matter of survival for if the United States drops the absurd obsession with denuclearization of us and accepts reality and wants genuine peaceful coexistence, there is no reason for us not to sit down with the United States," Kim was quoted as saying. A matter of survival for the country to build nuclear weapons to safeguard its security against grave threats from the United States and South Korea, Kim said, listing a series of regular military drills by allies that he said evolved into exercises for a nuclear war. Recent overtures from Washington and Seoul for dialogue are disingenuous because their fundamental intent is to weaken the North and destroy his regime remains unchanged. Kim said, adding a phased proposal by the South on ending the North's nuclear program was proof of that. The world already knows full well that what the United States does after it makes a country give up its nuclear weapons and disarms. We will never give up our nuclear weapons. Yeah, generally speaking. Yeah, hit the like button, guys. There's 100. There was 140 people here at one time. Now there's only 130. There's only let's see, 91 likes. Come on, 101 likes now. We can do better. Yeah, like the hit button, guys. Come on. The world, yeah. There will never be an eternity any negotiations for enemies exchanging some things out of secession for listing sanctions. Sanctions have been a learning experience and made his country stronger and more resilient. North Korea has been under a series of UN Security Council resolutions imposing economic sanctions and arms embargoes that have squeezed funding for military development, but continue to make advances in building nuclear weapons and powerful ballistic missiles. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung said in an interview with Reuters that sanctions have ultimately failed to deter the North, which today is adding massive nuclear weapons numbering 15 to 20 to its arsenal every year. The reality is that the previous approach of sanctions and pressure has not solved the problem. It has worsened it. News is saying over 100 million people streamed the memorial service. Well, that's a lot of people. Okay. Oh, you just did? You're bad? All right, no problem. And sorry, you got it now? Okay, I appreciate it. We're getting closer. We got 108 now. The reality is the previous approach of sanction and pressure has not solved the problem. It worsened it. Lee has made peace overtures since taking office in June, saying dialogue with Pyongyang once necessary, and the proposed steps to build confidence and eventually end the North's nuclear program. Hey, Jay Lee, how you doing? Lee told Reuters that there are formidable obstacles to reopening dialogue with the North, but he still believed that phased approach on dismantling Pyongyang's nuclear program was a realistic option. It was necessary to create the right conditions to bring the North back to the table, and Trump has a key role to play in those efforts, Lee said. Yeah. Here's from India Today. Says Kim Jong-un open to talks if U.S. drop nuclear weapon disarmament demand. So yeah, so that's basically it. They want us to drop the demand. You know, maybe what Trump should do is actually play them a game of golf for control of their nuclear weapons. And supposedly, Jim speaks Cantonese. I knew it. Yes. Please hit the like button and subscribe and set your notifications so you never miss a stream. What Jim tells you. Yes, Jim will tell you everything you need to know about stuff you never wanted to know. Definitely. Night. Yeah, the U.S. Willingness hinges on a change in Washington's stance. So yeah, so if we stop telling them we want them to get rid of nuclear weapons, then they'll talk to us about peace in the Middle East and all that stuff. All right, and then as usual, now we're going to have a story about how ICE is bad. You know, like ICE denies using excessive force on immigration arrests in Chicago. Yeah, so basically, the ICE pulls a guy over and says, "Hey, you're under arrest. You're a criminal illegal alien. We're taking you." And oh, you review vodka. What is this?
Political assassinations, a horrific.
Okay, we're gonna watch this 1 second, but first, we gotta do this. Rogue Thought for $5 says, "Thank you for the stream, sir. I think the only move left is to find a way to divide the right." Yeah, definitely. That's what's happening. Definitely, that's what's happening. And then for that, we're now down to $55 for another hour. Happy Sunday, everybody. Does everyone like the cowbell? I think it's cool. Let's see.
GOP timidity and the party's refusal to hold Democrats accountable partially responsible for making political assassinations a horrific reality now in our country?
Well, I think the course we need to take is the course Charlie Kirk took. And that is just to present the facts, present the truth, do it in a compelling way, do it with a smile on our face, and just give the truth out there. I think if we do that, that's how we win. But defend the truth. I thought your opening monologue was tremendous. That's how Charlie Kirk communicated. That's what we need to do. And if we do that, and frankly, that means saying the truth. I always say this. I think the left is their positions are crazy. You can go down the list. It's crazy to defund the police. It's crazy not to have a border. It's crazy to say men should compete against women in sports. You just talked about that. The left has a disdain for us. You don't have to take my word for it, your word for it, what they say. Remember, I go to the one example that I think is Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. He's walking into the Walmart and he said, I'm in the Northern Virginia Walmart. I can smell the Trump supporters. So there's this disdain they have for conservatives. And then finally, I always point out the left has a template and we should call it out. The left will tell a lie. Big media will report the lie. Big tech will amplify the lie. And then when you tell the truth, they call you a racist or some other crazy name they'll come after you on. We just got to keep telling the truth. And I think in the end, that will prevail. That's why you saw President Trump, who told the truth, win on November 5th. That's why you see people supporting his actions that are actually making America great again.
Wow, that was cool. Yeah, so it was 3:30 a.m. when the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement gathered in a parking lot in Chicago suburbs for a briefing about a suspect they were hoping to arrest. They went over the description of the person, made sure the radios were on the same channel, and they discussed where the closest hospital was just in case something went wrong. Let's plan on not being there, one of the officers said before they climbed into the vehicles and headed out. Across the city and surrounding suburbs, other teams were fanning out in support of Operation Midway Blitz. It has unleashed President Trump's mass deportation agenda on a city and state that has some of the strongest laws preventing local officials from cooperating with immigration enforcement. Really, right? ICE launched the operation September 8th, drawing concern from activists and immigrant communities fearful of a large-scale arrest and aggressive tactics used in other cities targeted by Republican president. They said there's been a noticeable uptick in immigration enforcement agents, although a military deployment to Chicago has yet to materialize. The Associated Press went on a ride-along. Much of the reason focus is to see how the operation is unfolded. A voice came over to radio. He got in the car. I'm not sure if that's the target. Someone matching the description of the man ICE was searching for walked out of the house, got into a car, and drove away from the tree-lined street. Unsure whether this was their target, the officers followed. A few minutes later, the car approached the freeway. The voice over radio said, "He's got the physical description. We just can't see the face good." "Do it," said Marcos Charles, acting head of ICE's enforcement and removal operations, ERO. Agents in multiple vehicles soon overtook the car and boxed it in and talked to the man. They realized he was not the person being sought, but that he was in the United States illegally, so they took him into custody. What do you know? Eventually, a little after dawn broke on the 1- and 2-story brick houses, the man they were looking for came out of the house and got into a car. ICE officers closed in. The man got out of the car and was arrested. ICE said both men were in the country illegally and had criminal records. Charles called it a successful operation. There was no safety issues on the part of our officers, nor the individuals that were arrested, and it went smoothly. Activists and critics say that ICE is increasingly not a norm in immigration operations. Yeah, they want the norm to be what Biden did, just let them all in and don't arrest anybody and don't do anything. They point to videos showing ICE agents smashing windows to apprehend suspects, a chaotic showdown outside a popular Italian restaurant in San Diego, an arrest like that of a Tufts University student in March by masked agents outside her apartment in Somerville. Massachusetts, us neighbors watch. Charles said ICE using appropriate amount of force and agents are responding to suspects who increasingly are not following commands. Polk County Sheriff did a huge presser. Kitty did a raid, 90 Johns, including over 200 from some theme parks. Yeah, there's always a bunch at Disney. There's been an uptick in people who are not compliant and blaming inflammatory rhetoric from activists who he says is encouraging people to resist. Alderman Andre Vasquez, who chairs the City Chicago Council's Committee on Immigrant and Refugee Rights, strenuously objected to that description, faulting ICE for any escalation. Oh, yes, ICE's fault. Oh, definitely. Yeah. We're not here to cause chaos. The president is, Vasquez, who he accused immigration enforcement agents of trying to provoke activists into overreacting in order to justify calling in greater use of force. Well, I think what's been going on at that Broadview ICE facility with the blocking streets and protests and doing all this stuff, I think that's interfering with their activities, so that they should call in the National Guard so that they don't have to deal with it. Chicago was already on edge when a shooting September 12th tensions even more. Oh, the shooting when an illegal alien tried to run over an ICE agent and they had to defend themselves, that shooting. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security said an ICE officer fatally shot Silverio Venegas Gonzalez, a Mexican illegal alien who tried to evade arrest in Chicago suburb by driving his car at officers and dragging one of them. The department said the officer felt his life was threatened and had opened fire. Charles said he could not comment because there's an open investigation, but he said he met the officer in the hospital, saw the injuries, and felt the force used was appropriate. The officer was not wearing a body camera, Charles said. No, because feds don't have to wear body cameras. J.B. Prickster has demanded a full and factual accounting of the shooting. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum condemned the death and said Mexico is demanding a thorough investigation. Sheinbaum should shut the fuck up. These attacks have led to loss of life for one of our community members, says Democrat State Rep Norma Hernandez. And another use of force incident under Midway Blitz has drawn criticism. A U.S. citizen detained by immigration agents alongside his father was hit by a stun gun 3 times Tuesday in a suburbs of suburban Des Plaines, the man's lawyer said. Local advocates has also condemned ICE agents for wearing masks, failing to identify themselves, and not using body cameras. Actions that starkly contrast with Chicago Police Department policy. They're not Chicago police. Charles said there's no timeline for ICE-led operations in the Chicago area to end. As of Thursday, immigration enforcement officials have arrested nearly 550 people. Charles said 50% to 60% of those are targeted arrests, meaning the people whom the immigration forces are specifically trying to find. He pushed back on criticism of ICE randomly targeting people, saying agents weren't going out to Home Depot parking lots to make indiscriminate arrests. Charles said ICE has brought in more than 200 officers from around the country for the operation. He said that for far too long, cities such as Chicago that limited cooperation had allowed immigrants, especially those with criminal records, to remain in the country illegally. It was time to act. Basically the same story for the AP. ICE denies using excessive force. Same thing. ICE denies using excessive force. All right. Now, this was something I thought I'd see because you guys saw the videos with Trump and Elon hanging out together. So here it is. Burying the hatchet. Elon and Trump seen chatting side by side at Charlie Kirk's memorial. There they are. Elon Musk and President Donald J. Trump sat side by side at Charlie Kirk's memorial service. In an encouraging moment of unity, Musk appeared to set aside his past grievances as the two men shared a smile during this tragic occasion. An amazing sight of unity. President Trump and Elon Musk are sitting together at Charlie Kirk's memorial. Wow, after what happened, these two men found their way back. Unity. The movement appreciates you, Elon. And that's to the left, that's the guy that owns the UFC. Having helped turbocharge Trump's presidential campaign with both financial and political support, Musk turned on Trump over the passing of the Big Beautiful Bill. Despite the bill's provisions for immigration enforcement and other conservative priorities, Musk was livid at its failure to meaningfully reduce America's ballooning national debt. I think didn't they prove that was a lie, that the CBO was wrong, and that it actually reduced the debt by like $500 billion or something? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Musk's fury was so intense he went on a protracted rant where he accused Trump of having close ties to pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein and threatened to start his own political party. During the interview, the gateway. Oh, so it's a separate. That's it. That's the end of the story. That's the end of the story, I guess. All right. There's breaking news. President Trump and Elon Musk reunite at Charlie Kirk's memorial. So it's basically the same story. They sat next to each other to service. Charlie was so bad, wanted these two men to come back together. I hope they're saying to each other for Charlie. Poor Charlie. Doing it for Charlie. Doing it for Johnny. Anyone know that movie? We're going to do it for Johnny. We're going to do it for Charlie. Okay. Now we're going to jump to something for everyone to see here. All right, this is the Somali guy. Minnesota State Senator Omar Fatah, now running for mayor of Minneapolis, said on the Senate floor that the real terrorists look like my white Republican colleagues. Imagine the outrage if a white person said this about Somalis.
We heard them being called terrorists. We heard them being called drug dealers. We heard a lot of insults. We heard that they're a threat to our national security. And that's a flat out lie. You want to know who the real threat is, Madam President? I'll give you a hint. They don't look like our chief author. They don't look like the folks up in the gallery. They don't look like the folks on the rotunda. They look like many of the members that sit in the front. And you don't have to take my word for it. According to DHS, Madam President, the greatest domestic threat facing the United States comes from, quote, racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocate for the superiority of the white race, not our immigrants. We are safer and we're better off because of them.
No, we're not.
Them being called terrorists.
Oh my God. First they came for the gypsies and I said nothing. Then they came for Somalis and I said, make sure you get all the Somalis. The real terrorists look like both of them monsters. They already destroyed Minnesota and they will destroy the state. Both of them are worthless and shameless. It'll be a Muslim terrorist state. No one was going to be hateful, scary state. Ancestry.com. It's a family affair. It says, my brother left me for a goat. Okay. And then it's not just here, though. Also, check this out. This is in England. All right. Oh, let me do this. Read what it says here. This is Minister of Politics, MP, Iqbal Mohammed, wants to make marriage between first cousins legal in the UK. They want to take the UK back 1,600 years.
Practice continues to be so widespread. An estimated 35 to 50% of all sub-Saharan African populations either prefer or accept cousin marriages, and it is extremely common in the Middle East and in South Asia. The reason the practice is so common is that ordinary people see family intermarriage overall as something that is very positive, something that helps build family bonds and helps put families on a more secure financial foothold. Practice continues to be so widespread. And
so yeah, it's just all widespread that this family don't they that it's like drops the IQ down like 20, 30 points. Don't they understand that? Yeah. This is let's discuss what Islam offers according to this. Beheadings, burning people alive, female genital mutilation, hostage taking out or killing, slavery, oppression of women, jihad, pedophilia, rape. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah, FGM isn't Islamic, and we already have it written. It's called transgenderism. Wow, that's real. Wow, crazy stuff, man. Yeah. This is what else is going on in the UK. You got after posting a video. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Wow. So Bella Vision is activated because Brian Oldenkamp gifted 10 Jim Tells You memberships. So with that, that takes us to, we got a first extra hour, and we are now $70 away from a second additional hour. Wow, thank you very much, Brian Oldenkamp. Wow, let's see who got those memberships. We got Lucky Luciano got a membership. HT got a membership. Sharon Tyler got a membership. Jail Dubs, Karen O, John Mosley, Element 47, Q Revere, Mama Pillow, Sadie. Wow, and then it looks like yeah. Yes, you have Bellavision. Yes, and then wow, look at that. And then Dave, BTM Reviews comes in with a 10, with just a 10. There's $10. Thank you. That was a great gift. Wow. So then I'm going to lower, that drops it down to $60 for the second additional hour. Thank you, man. Wow. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah. Yeah, there's Bellavision. It's all set up. Let me fix it. Mm-hmm. There we go. That's good enough. Trying to get her whole body in there, but whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, thank you. Wow, that was crazy, man. Mm-hmm. Meyer Lansky missed out, whatever that means. Yeah, Bellavision. There you go. See, it's up there. I put it up right away. As soon as I saw it, I put it up. Thank you, Brian Oldenkamp. He is, I have to admit, he is like the chief of recruitment for the memberships, for the making people pay attention. Basically, he's making people pay attention. Yeah, Bella needs a snack, as she does. I think we're like at the point where we're almost. I think. Let me see. We're almost at. We're almost at. I think we're almost at. We're approaching like 270 members. Yeah. Oh. I don't know. You don't know your mob history? I know my mob history. I don't know what you mean by what you're saying. Meyer Lansky missed out. You know, Meyer Lansky died of old age. He was the only one that never went to jail. What do you mean? Yeah, you're still 2.5 minutes behind. Jim got his cowbell. Yeah, he did. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Lucky Luciano got a membership, but Meyer missed out. Okay. Now I understand what you're saying. I totally forgot about that. Lucky Luciano person got. Yeah. Mafia accountant. Well, he was one of the original members of the commission, and he prior to the formation of the, like, anyway, we're not going to get into it, but yeah, he was childhood friends with Lucky Luciano. Basically, like they had their own Jewish gang along with Bugsy Siegel, like Las Vegas, all that stuff, and the other ones, Jaime Weiss, and what's the other guy's name? Lepke, Louis Lepke. There was a bunch of Louis Lepke was in Murder Incorporated. There was a bunch of Jews involved in the original when the mafia first, Polish Jew. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of Jews involved in the original mafia, and when it first became like, look, the commission and all that was formed, there was Jews. Mm-hmm. So let's see this. It says after posting a video of 2 West Midland police officers attempting to confiscate the phone of a child for watching a social media post I deleted, assuming it had to be a skit. I reached out to the West Midlands Police Department, and what they would not deny the officers were real. I decided to repost. Jim Somniac, 2 months. Thank you. No problem, Rod. It's been awesome having you. Yeah, they were down in Cuba too. Yeah. Mobsters is okay. I mean, you're better. Really, honestly, you want a better. I mean, you want a better explanation of them? Check out the Boardwalk Empire. The series Boardwalk Empire. It's very factually correct, right up until the point of the killing of Maranzetta. Yeah. This is no way to live. If a mother or child refuses to turn over the phone to the police, they threaten to arrest the child. Wow, this is crazy. They're going to arrest the child?
Okay, what was it? Sorry, I don't like the camera. You can have my body cam. I can exhibit that to you. I just don't like the camera really. Okay, well, I'm doing this because this is my own house and I am telling you why I'm doing it. So I just need to know why would she's basically viewed a post which is not an arrestable offence. Yeah. Okay. It happened in May and you're fine. The only thing is we need to seize the phone at this current moment. The phone needs to get seized from us, otherwise we will escalate this further. So, but with a voluntary interview. So have you seized anyone else? Is she the only child you're picking on? Voluntary interview, you'd be able to come. Have you spoken to anyone else? No, we'll come.
Do they have a warrant?
Now.
Oh, that's right. They don't need a warrant.
Yeah, it does have to get further escalation, unfortunately. That's fine. We'll come to the station now. The phone is seized right now, and we're not able to basically get the phone. We'd have to escalate this further, which means your daughter will get arrested. For what? Viewing a social media post? Is that I need to go with that in order to? No, absolutely not. What should we do? No, prevent destruction of evidence. I'm sorry. Lisa, that's fine. I would like you to leave now. I'd like you to leave. Okay, I have nothing more to say to you. A social media post. I've got nothing more to say. I'd like you to leave. You've harassed this child enough. I'd like you to leave. Lisa, that's no worry.
I mean, this is what's going on in England. You see the Sharia cop with the thing on her head? This has to stop, man. This has to stop. This is ridiculous. This is why Tommy Robinson was able to get millions of people in the streets the other day. Yeah, West Midlands police officers refused to confirm whether or not the officer depicted in the video are with the department or were acting under their authority. They requested I file a complaint, which I refused, but they did ask me to submit the video to their website, which I did. I also made it clear that I was going to repost the video as well. Seriously, the people of Great Britain need to wake up. They're living in a 1984 hellscape. Look at this. I understand you want to share the video. I believe the best course at this time would be to submit what you have on our website, and we can review it and act accordingly. In response to my inquiry about the West Midlands police officer depicted in the viral video, the department issued an update that at the time of my inquiry, the police had interviewed the teenage girl 8 days earlier and reviewed 10 minutes of body-worn video. Instead of simply confirming the interaction took place, but that the video was cut in a misleading way, they accused me of circulating disinformation. They were looking for someone who created a fake social media account. Presumably, the teenage girl was a suspect. The most unsettling part of the video is that they aren't denying it is real. The dystopian nightmare that Britain is currently in is very real. Yeah, look at they themselves are children. Yeah, it's ridiculous, crazy young. It is ridiculous. Snarf, snarf, come, burger. So Democrats spent 11 days gaslighting the nation, insisting that they share none of the ideology of Charlie Kirk's assassin, only for Congresswoman Ilhan Omar to go on CNN and proudly repeat the killer's own words. What a disgrace. Yes, what a disgrace she is. She is a disgrace. Definitely a disgrace. Hold on one second. Just checking something real quick. Bing, bang, bang. Oh, Bella. Look at Bella's going. See Bella's mouth moving? She's blowing some bubbles. She's blowing bubbles. Bella's blowing bubbles. Okay. The thought police are going to back them up. Yeah. It's crazy. The average person is finally starting to realize that the words that convince them to give up their rights may not be in the best interest. A first step. Yeah. Yeah. Omar says Charlie Kirk should be left in the dustbin of history. She echoed the assassin's words, claiming he spread hate. She refused to apologize for sharing a video that called him Dr. Frankenstein and said his monster shot him through the neck.
I just think it was the video where it called him Dr. Frankenstein and said his monster shot him through the neck. I mean, obviously this is a person, and looking at this is someone who was a husband and a father. And in the days after his shocking death, that happened as a result of his views, or it happened as a result as he was sharing his views publicly with people, that people found it jarring to hear such criticism of that in the immediate aftermath.
What I find jarring is that there's so many people willing to excuse the most reprehensible things that he said, that they agree with that they're willing to have monuments for him, that they want to create a day to honor him, and that they want to produce resolutions in the House of Congress honoring his life and legacy. It is one thing to care about his life, because obviously so many people loved him, including his children and wife. But I am not going to sit here and be judged for not wanting to honor any legacy this man has left behind. That should be in the dustbin of history, and we should hopefully move on and forget the hate that he spewed every single day.
Guy never spewed any hate. That is an outright lie. It is beyond ridiculous that she's claiming this crap. I mean, I don't get it. I really don't. I don't know how they get away with it. I don't know. You don't know how Jim can listen to any of these garbage humans. It takes a lot of work and usually some bourbon, but it works. Yeah, sure. So much hate in her. Yeah. Don't forget, well, we got a story about her coming up that it seems like maybe, just maybe. You see my forehead? You see this red mark on my forehead right here? See that? I scraped my head on the bottom of my pool. And it hurts. It hurts. I didn't dive in. I was swimming and I went anyway, long story short. Yeah. Ilhan Omar spews hates every time she opens her mouth. She came here fraudulently and will hopefully be sent back to Somalia. This is Phil Mickelson, all right, everybody? The golfer. I didn't know Phil Mickelson was based, like that. Yes. I'm bowing to Allah 5 times a day. I got the mark on my forehead. I go, oh, labada. I guess what I say. I say, yes. Durka, Muhammad Jihad. Mm-hmm. And we got, look at this. We got Rashida Tlaib. We ain't going anywhere. Now we're in Congress and we're in every corner of the United States. To every genocide enabler, look at these rooms, MFers, and we ain't going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one should be deported also.
Well, guess what? Now we're in Congress and we're every corner of the United States. Y'all, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. They will never truly comprehend, Jama'ah, even after 7 decades, that we aren't going anywhere. We are just getting started.
Oh, they're just getting
I
started.
want to say to all of them, every genocide enabler, look at this rooms, motherfuckers. We ain't going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, because look, it goes. An individual shoots up a wedding, screaming "Free Palestine." More political violence the day before Charlie Kirk's funeral. just 4 months ago, and another man screaming "Free Palestine" gunned down 2 Jewish staffers in Washington D.C. That's what she posted on that. She posted that on top of that. That's crazy, right? Wow, that's nuts. New Hampshire country club shooter yelled "Free Palestine" during wedding. Crazy, right? Wait until the people who want to be left alone get involved. That's right. Just wait. CNN has spent the last week parading out Democrats who basically said Charlie Kirk deserved it. The Democrat Party is a death cult, and CNN is trying to get more people killed. The Free Palestine was not reported in the news, not even locally. Oh, it's in the news. They buried it, though. Yeah. Here's Jasmine Crockett. On the day of his funeral, Jasmine Crockett goes on CNN to smear Charlie Kirk. Crockett, it shouldn't be expected to condemn someone talking negatively about. I shouldn't be expected to condemn the death of someone talking negatively about me. Sent me a nice clip relating to Palestine. Okay, I'll look for it right now. This one. This is Jasmine Slavey Crockett.
The rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was specifically to us. And I can tell you that a month prior to him passing away, he had actually gotten out on his podcast. I wasn't aware of this at the time, but he got out there and he was talking negatively about me directly. So if there was any way that I was going to honor somebody who decided that they were just going to negatively talk about me and proclaim that I was somehow involved in the great white replacement, yeah, I'm not honoring that kind of stuff. The rhetoric that
this lady is fucking crazy, man. What is wrong with her? I'm so glad. I hope they redistrict her right out of office. Right out of office. Let's see. Wait, no. Oh, wait. All right, here. This is what Dan sent me. Auntie needs her own show on Sky News, Australia. Let's see.
Fucking government. The English don't protest about England here. The Asians don't protest about China or Japan here. Do they? But the Palestinians, they come here, they're bringing their shit here, and they're protesting about their fucking country. Here, we got our problem. Fucking idiot.
Oh, that's good. Here we go, some more. Slavey Crockett on CNN. It hurts my heart that only 2 Caucasians voted against honoring Charlie Kirk. So it's all about race to her. Everything. She's the racist. Slavey Crockett is the racist.
You know what? One of the things I do want to point out that's not been laid out that honestly hurts my heart is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not
start a family. Yeah. Start a family, raise a family, stay together, get married. Yeah, that targeted people of color. What the fuck is she talking about? Is there fucking just 2 rocks bouncing around in her fucking rattlebrain head? Fucking ghetto trash cunt. Oh, I did it. Sorry. I'm going to have to edit that out.
Not see how harmful his rhetoric was specifically to us. And you know what? One of the things I do want to point
Yeah, I guess. I guess, man. I guess people of color hate family values. I guess that's what we're. I guess that's where we're gonna have to just take from that. Yeah, as Will Chairman says, only 2 Caucasians joined us in spitting on the grave of recently assassinated 31-year-old founder, Radio Rwanda. That's her, Radio Rwanda. This is crazy. Yeah, here's this. What's this say? Oh, mother furious after Representative Jasmine Slavey Crockett calls daughter murdered by illegal migrant a random dead person. Oh, y'all talk about these random dead people. We got to talk about Slavey Crockett stuff. There she is. Slavey Crockett. There's a reason some clever soul created this. Dumber than a box of Crockett's. Here's the story. Mother furious after Rep. Jasmine Slavey Crockett calls daughter murdered by a illegal migrant a random dead person. Mother of girl killed by alleged MS-13 gang member to testify before the House Judiciary Committee.
Hearing on Biden's border crisis today. They will hear from Tammy Nobles, whose 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was strangled to death in July of last year. Police arresting a teenage illegal immigrant from El Salvador with alleged ties to MS-13 and her killing. Tammy Nobles is the mother of Kayla Hamilton, and she joins me now. Tammy, thank you so much for getting up with us. My heart just breaks for you and what you're going through. But I want to hear what you plan on saying at this hearing today.
I am planning on reading my testimony, letting them know about Kayla, about her personality, and also about what happened to her on July 27th of 2022. And also what I am looking for. I am, looking for a more secured border and vetting and, vetting policies.
Tammy, when you say you want a more secure border, what exactly do you mean? Do you want it completely shut off to anyone getting into the country? What do you want?
I want them to be properly vetted.
Background checks, not just
background checks, and also not to be able to. They need to be able to check their background, not for crimes in this country, but also crimes in their country and where they came from.
Sounds good to me. Definitely.
What is Charlie Kirk Day? Here's everything you need to know.
Charlie Kirk Day. The mother of a Maryland woman is calling out Rep. Slavey Crockett. Legislation about genetic testing at birth are double-edged swords. If you can't extort men into raising other men's kids, kids having kids, etc. Yes. Yeah, it's calling out Rep. Crockett for referring to her daughter as a random dead person during a debate on a bill named in Hamilton's honor. You don't just call the victim of a crime just a random dead person. No victim should be referred to as a random dead person, said Tammy Nobles. What she said was really nasty and came across as racist. Slavey Crockett, made the comments earlier this month during a House Judiciary Committee debate on Kayla Hamilton Act. Hamilton was a 20-year-old when she was essayed and strangled by a 22-year-old in 2022 by a teenager from El Salvador who was in the country illegally and later identified as MS-13. Me escuchas, 13. You take a situation and you exploit what has happened to not only that person, but you exploit those families and you make it a game, said Slavey during a hearing. Just stop throwing a random dead person's name on something for your own political expediency. We can throw a Slavey's name on something if you want. Before making a remark, Crockett argued that Republicans were ignoring victims of other crimes, including those connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Noble said she was furious when she heard Slavey's comments about her daughter, remembering Kayla as a happy and energetic child. Harford County Sheriff Jeff Gaylor, who worked on the case, also condemned Crockett's remarks on Fox and Friend. Kayla was important, her life mattered, and for Congressman Crockett to be so dismissive, so insensitive to a crime victim, any crime victim, just speaks to the character who we're electing to some jurisdictions around the country. Pathetic is the best word I have for it. The Kayla Hamilton Act would close dangerous loopholes in the federal government's handling of unaccompanied migrant children, according to Republican Representative Russell Fry, who introduced the act. and Fry's been looking for his friend that borrowed his dad's Ferrari, Bueller. The bill would require the Department of Health and Human Services to conduct additional screening of illegal immigrants. HHS would have to check for gang tattoos, conduct background searches into a migrant's country of origin, and vet potential sponsors. Nobles has endorsed the bill, saying it could prevent future tragedies. She said the bill would protect both American citizens and illegal alien children from gang activity or being placed with unfit caregivers. It's very important to protect the children. Yes, protects the children's. Oh, Disney made in big trouble after pulling the club on Kimmel. Why would they be? Wait, what Arabs are Caucasian? I don't know. Maybe that's what she said. I don't know. I'd like to know who it was that voted against it. Here. A man shouted "Free Palestine" while carrying out a deadly shooting in Nashua, New Hampshire, has been arrested. Hunter Nadeau has been charged with murder. The killing is among a string of deadly attacks in the U.S. in which Palestine and or Gaza were invoked. Man yelling, "Free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Buy one Palestine, get one free." Something's not right here. The ADL left-wing, right-wing violence for 2015. Left-wing 34, right-wing 29,910. Wow, it's crazy. It's because they call Islamist stuff right-wing. It's inexcusable. Yeah. ADL heat map. Yeah. Are you really this stupid? Seriously, I need to know how you got your brainwashed. I must be retarded because I have zero idea what you're going on about. Yeah, these are far-right extremists. Whores for Palestine. Yeah. Feminists. Yeah. Man yelling "Free Palestine" arrested for opening fire on New Hampshire Country Club, killing one. That's what I said, Nashua. A night of dining and celebration at the Sky Meadow Country Club turned tragic Saturday when a gunman opened fire, killing one man and injuring several others before being taken into custody. According to Nashua police, multiple law enforcement agencies and first responders rushed to the scene after reports of shots being fired around 9 p.m. Witnesses said the shooter entered the facility during a function while guests were dining at the Prime restaurant, according to The Patch. One witness reported hearing the suspect shout, "Free, free Palestine," before firing into the crowd. Hunter Nadeau, 23, has been charged with the murder following his arrest on Saturday. I said Nashua? Just think, anything but the truth. That's right. Gunman who attacked Sky Meadow Country Club was shouting "Free Palestine."
You get the sense that they knew who.
Didn't hear anything. He just came out and said,
What he said.
Yeah, what he said was the children are safe and, free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
You heard the gunshots. At first, I didn't realize it was gunshots. It sounded like balloons because, we were at a festivity thinking, maybe somebody popped a balloon. But then you look around, we didn't have balloons. And you
get the sense that they knew who.
Didn't hear anything. He just came out and said,
What he said.
Yeah, what he said was the children are safe and, free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Like when you heard the gunshots. At first, free Palestine, and free Palestine, and free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine.
I guess that wraps it up. That's all we need to know. Authorities confirmed that at least 3 victims were transported to Southern New Hampshire Medical Center by a Bearcat armored vehicle. Oh, it must have been, what you heard must have just been my computer screwing up because I said Nashua. Not Nashua. I didn't say Nashua, I said Nashua. 3 syllables. Yeah, another right-wing MAGA supporter. That's what the ADL will classify it as. That's how they do. That's how they do. One man was reportedly shot in the face. A triage area was set up in the Spitbrook Fire Station at East Dunstable Road, and 9 ambulances responded. Massachusetts State Police also assisted as part of the country club's extend into Dunstable, Massachusetts. Initial reports of multiple shooters were later corrected by Nashua police. Video surveillance was confirmed there was only one shooter. They are currently being detained. The scene is still an active investigation, but there is no further danger to the public. New Hampshire Attorney General's office confirmed late Saturday that one man had been killed. The suspected shooter was detained on scene by Nashua police officers. Officials emphasized there is no ongoing threat to the community. In neighboring Dunstable, Massachusetts, less than 10 miles from the country club, which features an 18-hole golf course, upscale dining, and event facilities. Officials issued a shelter-in-place order for a Thorndike Street. Wow, that's a pretty thorny dike, isn't it? Why not both? High Street and Hardy Street. Wow, they got high. It's a thorny dike, got high on the street. Authorities also designated the Sheraton Hotel on Tara Boulevard in Nashua as a unification site for families. My team and I are closely monitoring reports of the horrific tragedy at Sky Meadow Country Club tonight, said Jean Shahian wrote on X. Billy and I are praying for those injured. There is no place in our state for this type of senseless violence. Well, clearly there was a place. It was the country club. That's where they did it. Yes, a prickly lesbian. That's what I was thinking of. Prickly lesbian. Very nice hotel. Very nice hotel. Democratic Rep. Maggie Goodlander also posted, I'm closely monitoring the tragic events of a shooting tonight at Sky Meadow Country Club in Nashua. My heart goes out to the victims and their families and the entire Nashua community as we await more information. New Hampshire State Police are assisting the Nashua police in the ongoing investigation. Okay, here we go. Here we go. You guys ready? You guys ready? It says, new reporting from Ashley Rinsberg. If you get shot in New Hampshire, you just go to the fire hose, never mind the hospital. Snopes and PolitiFact used accusations of right-wing conspiracy theories to shut down reporting on a scandal that could have upended Ilhan Omar's career and seriously damaged the credibility of the squad. In 2019, Snopes and PolitiFact debunked claims that Omar's father, Nur Omar Mohammed, was a high-ranking officer in Somali's Marxist Ba'ath regime, which invaded Ethiopia in the late 70s and was accused of genocide after massacring 200,000 people in the late 80s. Both fact-checkers claim Nur was merely a teacher trainer in Somalia before he and his family immigrated to the U.S. Snopes even asserted that linking him to the Siad Barre regime was based quite literally on nothing but race. This, despite Somali and Kenyan sources confirming that Omar's father was a colonel, an esteemed senior officer in the Barre regime until its ousting in 1991. For example, after Nur's death, a Somali Despota website called Sahan Journal, a non-profit digital newsroom focused on minority communities in Minnesota, ran an obituary praising his long and esteemed military career in the Ba'ath regime. Yet major news outlets, including the New York Times and Reuters, still describe Nur as a teacher trainer while he was living in Somalia, relying on Snopes and PolitiFact's shallow, bad faith fact checks, which remain inaccurate. Meanwhile, another Ba'ath regime officer, Yusuf Adi Ali Tadek, was recently deported from the U.S. after courts found he committed human rights abuses while serving under Barde. To be clear, Ilhan Omar isn't responsible for her father's decisions when she was a child. What does matter is how the fact-checking industry was able to kill a major political scandal with the thinly sourced, bad faith fact check, protecting Democrat Party interests better than even the best interest management firms could have dreamed. Link to the story in the thread. How Snopes buried the truth about Ilhan Omar's father. Fact checkers covered up his high-ranking role in genocide. Don't you all know it's a genocide? Yep. How Snopes buried the truth. Teacher trainers gone wild. Yeah. What about marrying her brother? Fisking fact checkers. I love it. Oh gosh, where did I start? To be clear, Ilhan Omar wasn't responsible for her father's decision when she was a child. No, but he did raise her. This gives us a window into her upbringing, which informs her highly questionable politics and decision making. Yeah, prickly lesbian, definitely. Ape effect. Ilhan Omar's father brought his family to the U.S. under a refugee program to help people fleeing war caused by Somalia's genocidal Siad Barre regime. What her father, Nur Omar Mohammed, failed to mention is that he was a senior officer in the military, specializing in propaganda. Snopes called this misinformation, and the media followed suit, never properly investigating this claim. Okay. 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 Okay, solar flares report, please. All right, and with that, we will drop. We are now $55 away from the second additional hour. And we will get a solar flare report.
Good morning, folks. Welcome, observers. Happy equinox, and today we've got to look at space weather. We'll check out the new mineral mapping mission from NASA, and we'll go over the changes in Earth's magnetic field over the last decade with visuals. But we are starting with the last 24 hours on our star, and we find things were extremely quiet. No significant flares or eruptive events. We do still expect that within 36 hours we'll take the coronal whole solar wind stream and minor geomagnetic storm conditions. We'll be watching for that, and the sunspots will be monitored as well. Couple groups growing, some departing, few more incoming, all in the mild to moderate flare risk range right now. Eyes open for their development in these sunspot groups. Up next, folks, we're heading to the critical mineral mapping mission. Using special sensors, they can now better detect what's in the ground with remote sensing than they ever have been able to before. It used to be that broad, non-specific data was available from the sky. Details were only found from ground coring, hands-on. Now, nearly that same level of detail is possible from the sky and over a huge area. But our top story today is this: the changes in Earth's magnetic field over the last 11 years. Shocker, the weakening of the planetary shield has continued. We'll begin at the north as magnetic north is moving towards Siberia. The flux lobe there gets a touch stronger while the field over the Americas weakens considerably. You can see the brightest yellow disappears from the left to the right side there. The weak area in dark colors here has expanded in the South Atlantic. The South Atlantic anomaly has both grown and deepened its weakness, and you can also spot that in this view. Darkest patch is increased in size by about 50%. Taking a 3-year gap between views, we can see that the 2024 bottom right has the lightest colors, especially in the Pacific, indicating that the crustal fields are weakening in addition to the core field. Folks, we are still on the collapsing downward spiral, and still almost nobody cares we are in the middle of a magnetic pole shift. We had the Pole Shift Conference yesterday, and that was epic at Observer Ranch. Dr. Dunning is coming in this week for Founders Events. We have a world-class prepper event to kick off October. The Colorado Prepper Expo is the next weekend. The Experience the weekend after that. Go ahead and bring the kids out for Halloween. That's going to be fun. We've got the Ultimate Self-Defense Training kicking off November. Observer Speed Dating the 7th and 8th. Documentary premiere mid-November, and the last Pole Shift Conference of the year the day after that. We've got Thanksgiving and a solstice party as well, probably. Come out and see us.
Come out and see us.
ObserverRanch.com. We greatly appreciate your support. We'll do this all again tomorrow. Right here, right now, 6 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun.
Eyes open.
Eyes open.
No fear.
No fear.
Be safe, everyone.
Be safe, everyone.
Wow. That was a blast from the past. After Omar Mohammed Noor's death, local Minnesota and Somali outlets came out with obituaries praising his father for a valiant service in the Bari regime. And while the brother marriage stuff is weird, the real root of any potential immigration fraud lies in Noor Omar Mohammed's lie on his refugee application, which is now Ilhan Omar came into the U.S. Ilhan Omar's father was very likely a senior propagandist with the rank of colonel in a genocidal Marxist regime. Omar didn't rise to power, refugee to Congress in a matter of years by accident. She learned from a master. This is her as a schoolgirl. They look up to guys like Karl Marx. Here they go. See, this is Omar. That's Omar as a schoolgirl. Ready? Karl Marx, yay. This is actually her as a schoolgirl. They know it. Okay. And here's the story. How Snopes buried the truth about Ilhan Omar's. Yeah, well, she had a master. Yes, she did. Man, the moon cycles are real serious stuff. Yeah, they are. You got to watch Oppenheimer Ranch after the stream. Definitely. Could be possible. You know, you got to be careful, though. Sometimes the government, if they hear you're doing stuff like this, doesn't. Oh, shit. They're coming to get me. I'm in trouble. I should have never played that video. What the hell? For most of the past decade, the misinformation complex, a decentralized, ideologically aligned network of fact-checking sites, media outlets, NGOs, government agencies, and social media companies ruled our informational ecosystem. Today, the archives of this Ashol regime are being reopened. What they show is how, with shockingly little effort, the misinformation complex could shut down investigations into even the most clear-cut claims that threaten the Democrat Party's great narratives. Yeah, they keep coming to get me. This was previously the case with one of the most prominent progressive politicians in the U.S. today, Ilhan Omar. In 2018, Omar rode a wave of identity politics into high office as representative for Minnesota's 5th congressional district. The media was not just jubilant, but triumphant. Along with the nascent squad, this Trump-taunting black female politician and former refugee became an instant icon of the new color-bound progressive politics. But there is a catch. Omar herself would not be shoved into this cardboard cutout of a squeaky clean infinitely tolerant diversity figure. In her first few weeks in office, she made a series of comments about Israel that fell well within the discourse of anti-Semitic speech, as the Democrat Party itself has long since defined it. Then, far more damagingly, allegations that Omar had married her own brother to secure his visa, the U.S. exploded in conservative media. There was, however, another claim that was overshadowed by allegations of, to coin the term, fratrimony. This was Omar's father had been a terrorist and served the Somali government in a capacity that could have made his entry into the United States illegal. While it didn't have the tabloid qualities of brother marriage, it corroborated the story could have been just as damaging. To be clear, the following does not show or attempt to show that Ilhan Omar bears responsibilities for decisions made by her father when she was a child. What it does show is how the fact-checking industry was able to quash a burgeoning political crisis with just 2 articles and one threadbare source, and in doing so, protect democracy, Democrat Party interests in ways that not even the best, most expensive political crisis management agency could even dream of. Yeah, it was the brother's visa, but the father lied to get into the country, so she entered on a lie. She came with her father, who was a terrorist, a genocidal maniac, who should have stood trial in Somalia. Snopes published its assessment of the claim. Is Omar's father a Somalian war criminal living illegally in the U.S. under a big red triangle featuring an X, and the text mostly false? The site broke down its finding under 3 headlines. Under the heading of What's True, Snopes stated Ilhan Omar's father is living in the U.S. legally. The family was cleared to enter the country in 1995 and successfully secured asylum status. Under What's False, Snopes found Omar's father is not in the U.S. illegally and marked What's Undetermined. The site rules Omar's father was responsible for or even credibly accused of any wrongdoing in Somalia. In the first sentence of his fact check, Snopes reported that various firsts Omar had achieved. One of her first 2 Muslim women elected to Congress, first to don a religious headscarf, first a Somalian American and naturalized citizen from Africa in Congress. And the site then noted that many of these milestones, however, had been accompanied by conspiracy theories and racial or religious themed hoaxes targeting Omar. Snopes reported the claim that Omar's father was a Somali war criminal who had come to the U.S. illegally originated from a right-wing blog called the Gateway Pundit, which Snopes called a junk news site. Gateway Pundit has reported less than a week prior that Omar's father was connected to the former dictator in Somalia, Saeed Barre. The site compared Omar with another Somali in similar situation, former Somali National Army Colonel Yusuf Abdi Ali, who was found to have committed human rights abuses by a U.S. civil jury in May 2019 and eventually deported in 2024 for similar crimes during the same time period. Gateway Pundit wrote that Omar's father and other Somalians like Yusuf Abdi Ali, who killed thousands for Barry, escaped to the West and were not vetted properly before entering the country. That's right. Let's see here. We still got another half hour to go. Snopes misconstrued this claim in its fact check. It wrote, instead of providing proof that Omar's father was a war criminal, Gateway Pundit simply dropped the name of a different and unrelated Somali man into the mix, conflating Muhammad and Ali without making any substantive connection between the 2 men. Gateway Pundit, however, never claimed that there was a connection between the 2 men. This is clear from the text. Nevertheless, Snopes fell back on racism to make his point, writing that the alleged connection between the 2 men, a connection made by the Gateway Pundit but by Snopes' writer, was rooted in racism. How close are we to the goal with PayPal? It's for another hour. I mean, we're $55 away. 55. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. We're now $40 away, thanks to PayPal. I just saw that. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you very much, KPT. Thank you very much, KBT. The info was leaked about the immigration papers recently about the brother. I seen it. Yeah. The mistake made by Snopes of assuming Gateway Pundit said something it didn't is in itself a trivial issue of editorial errata. The real problem is that in somewhat strident and, on the face of it, unfounded allegation of racism, Snopes made a far more substantive accusation. The claim about Nur Omar Muhammad's possible ties to the Bahraini regime were based quite literally on nothing but race. Hey. Check your apps, boomer? What does that mean? What are you talking about? There's nothing on Rumble. True post, boomer. I don't know what the hell's going on. Why he's what he's talking about. Anyway, based quite literally on nothing but race. But other than a commonality of being from Somalia, neither Omar nor her father has any connection to Ali. The claim that Nur Mohammed was connected to Zayed Bahri, that he committed war crimes, seems to be a leap made by the Gateway Pundit, based quite literally on nothing but race. The assumption that the two people named Sisi are unrelated linked to each other. In other words, in its fact check, Snopes committed a serious and quite ironic error. By falsely alleging the Gateway Pundit had conflated the two men, Snopes actually conflated the two separate issues. The claim that these two men were associated and a separate claim that Omar Mohammed was connected to the Bahraini regime. Doing so allowed Snopes' writer, through a little bit of logical sleight of hand, to claim that because the first claim was racist, so was the second. But the most serious error in the fact check was still to come. To support its claim about Omar's father, Snopes cited a local Minneapolis news site called City Pages, which had reported that Omar's father had worked in Somalia training teachers, offering no more detail or substantiation than those two words. About a week later, PolitiFact ran a similar debunking article with its truthometer pointing to false. That article, citing the same City Pages report, also claimed that Omar's father trained teachers. Snopes did not respond to requests for comment. PolitiFact also did not respond for requests to comment. Over the subsequent years, right up till today, the issue of whether Omar had married her brother in a bid to secure him a U.S. visa would crop up again and again, and with it, allegations that her father had entered the U.S. illegally, namely by covering up his affiliation with the genocidal Bahraini regime, which ruled Somalia until the Civil War in 1991. Each time the issue arose, the Snopes and PolitiFact fact checks were relied on as proof that the claim was debunked. This continued into 2021 when Reuters issued its own fact check about Omar, which referenced a Snopes article. When Omar's father died of COVID complications in 2020, the claim about his job as a teacher or teacher trainer was repeated by the New York Times, Time Magazine, The Cut, BuzzFeed, Chicago Tribune, and others. The notion that claims that Omar's father was a teacher trainer who had come to the country illegally has been glazed into hardened fact. But as the media was repeating that claim about the recently deceased man, another outlet, this one, very different from the mainstream media, dominated by elite progressives, told a completely different story. Weeks after the death of Omar's father, the Sahan Journal, a nonprofit news organization that covers minority communities in Minnesota, ran an obituary of Omar's father, founded by award-winning journalist Mukhtar M. Ibrahim, a former reporter for the Star Tribune and Minnesota Public Radio. Sahan Journal has received national recognition for its reporting and has collaborated with major news articles such as the New York Times and the Washington Post. I started Turning Point, no chat, so I moved to Uncivil Law. Kurt was just plain rude, so I moved to Brock and Joe. Left when they were rude about Susie might ended up on Charlie Kirk. Oh, I didn't even, I was listening to, I didn't even see Joe. I didn't think I saw Joe or Bronca comment anything. I must have missed that part. Who's venting on the other string? What's going on? While long and detailed, the obituary's very first sentence made the astonishing claim. Nur Omar Mohammed was an esteemed senior officer in the Somali National Army well before the country plunged into anarchy following the fall of the Saeed Badr regime in the early 90s. In the case where there were any doubts about his identity, the slug of the Sahan obituary states, best known in the U.S. as Ilhan Omar's father, Noor was a prominent Somali military officer who encouraged his children to succeed. The Somali National Army was the primary military force of the Bahri regime during its rule from 1969 to 1991. Oh, he commented on the what's her, I can't try to, Susie Miles is her name, right? Or Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles. Yeah. A Kenyan news outlet, the East African, citing another Kenyan paper, The Nation, made the same claim, writing Omar's father had served as a colonel in Bahri's army, but he had to flee with his family via Kenya before settling in the U.S. in 1995. A then Twitter account that identifies itself as belonging to Omar Shamarke, the former prime minister of Somalia, tweeted days after Noor's death, "May Allah have mercy on Colonel Noor. May Allah grant patience and faith to his family and relatives and the Somali National Army, of which he was a longtime member. I especially extend my condolences to his daughter, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, and all the children he left behind." According to the Sahan Journal obituary, after training in the Soviet Union, Noor returned to Somalia, where he began his climb in the military hierarchy, eventually becoming a colonel. During the 77-78 Somali and Ethiopian War, he led a regiment. A fellow colonel who served with him recalled in the obit that Noor played a significant role in the war, is one of the officers who was recognized for their work. Omar's Wikipedia article similarly states that her father served with distinction in the 77-78 Ogaden War between Somalia and Ethiopia, and it also worked as a teacher trainer. Ah. Just Rhonda left then too. Oh, I apologize. Joe and Bronca stated the obvious that Susie Wells should not have been invited to speak. Her speech brought down the mood. It was lame. No lies detected. Oh. I know there was like the applause was very muted for communism. He was training teachers to be communists. That's what he did. He went to Soviet Union. For Americans today, Syed Badi is an unfamiliar figure, but in the late 60s to his fall in 91, when Omar's family fled the country, Badi led a ferocious revolutionary regime characterized by Marxist-Leninist principles. But because Somalia lacked a history of economic class structure, internecine clan dynamics were substituted in its place. This led to one of Bahri's regime's many crimes, the slaughter of up to 200,000 members of the Azak clan, which is sometimes described as genocide. I would call it genocide if they killed 200,000 of one clan. Who killed the Rumble? What's going on? What are you guys talking about? Who killed Rumble? Okay, I must be missing something. It was for this reason that high-ranking officials, particularly from the military, were generally barred from seeking asylum in the United States under provisions prohibiting individuals implicated in human rights abuses, persecution, material support for a repressive regime. Cases like that of Yusuf Abdi Ali, the former Somali army colonel discussed above, who was deported last year, illustrate the policy in action. This was a bombshell, but one that fell in the proverbial forest. Neither Snopes nor PolitiFact updated their fact checks about Noor Omar Mohammed. No news organization went back to report the story or examine claims that are previously made. In the parallel universe of the mainstream media, Noor and his likely will forever remain a teacher trainer. Ilhan Omar's office did not respond to multiple requests for comment. That may be for good reason. Like the story of her possible brother marriage, outrage over Omar's alleged anti-Semitic tweets obscured a far bigger issue. Omar's deep ties to the Somali government. According to journalist David Steinberg, in 2016, Omar, the newly elected to Minnesota State Assembly, flew to Nairobi to Mogadishu with a Somali politician named Mohammed Abdullahi Mohammed. Weeks later, Mohammed, known as Farmer Majus or Cheese, a U.S. citizen then on the payroll of the New York Department of Transportation, was elected president of the country, in which the New York Times called one of the most fraudulent political events in Somalia's history. Weeks later, a beaming Omar was filmed on stage at a party celebrating the win, where she stood behind a podium with Farah Maju's face on it, wearing a pin with his likeness. According to Steinberg, before Omar spoke, her first husband, whom she would divorce in 2012 and remarry shortly after the party, for Marouge, where she spoke, gave his own speech in which he praised a Somali politician who would become President Farouge's prime minister. 2 days later, Omar's brother-in-law became permanent secretary to the prime minister. Wow. That's crazy, right? Omar's network of relationships with the government as corrupt as Somalis would have been problematic enough for a first-term congressman when freshly appointed to the Foreign Affairs Committee. Still, that could be put aside. American politicians frequently meet with and campaign with foreign leaders as part of their job, but a tie between Omar's father and the Bade, a tie that could have violated multiple provisions of the Immigration and Nationality Act concerning members of regimes possibly responsible for persecution of minorities, and also concerning membership in communist parties, would constitute a wholly different matter. Hey, good night, Dave. Thanks for coming out. Take care. Yeah. Right. No one in Congress or Senate has any legit business out of this country. They work for other states. That's right. No journalist who cited the Snopes piece, which leaned on the City Pages article that made a passing reference to his teacher trainer credentials as a sole source for the claim, even bothered to corroborate the claim. The problem is that the single source they relied on was not entirely reliable. 2017, an education technology company called Nexus Solutions sued City Pages for a series of articles written by Corey Zurowski, the reporter who originally wrote the story about Ilhan Omar, later referenced by Snopes and PolitiFact, a suit that Nexus settled with City Pages later that year. The suit alleged that Zurowski had made a number of false statements and misstated amounts of money related to a contract between Nexus and a Minnesota school district. The false statements were made in spite of the fact that the terms of these contracts and payments amounts were public record and were accessible for fact-checking by City Pages. The Nexus press release stated the Twin Cities Pioneer Press reported at the time, according to the report, before bringing the suit, Nexus had asked City Pages to correct the false statements and retract the relevant articles, which the paper had refused to do. What's noteworthy is the context is that Pioneer Press reported this 2 years before Snopes relied on the reporting by the same journalists in the same outlet. This is not to imply a single mistake should invalidate a reporter's work. However, for Snopes and PolitiFact to rely solely on this single unsourced fact reported by a journalist who had fairly recently been subject of a lawsuit concerning accuracy of his reporting and unwillingness to address clear-cut factual claims is troubling. But this is the only major credibility issue involved in this chain of events. In 2021, less than 2 years after the Snopes report about Omar's father, BuzzFeed News reported that the company's co-founder and CEO had plagiarized no less than 60 news articles between 2015 and 2019, copying and pasting text into Snopes articles to improve their site's SEO. This, of course, is an ethical and legal breach, but it also raised serious questions about the editorial procedures in place at Snopes, which the Times described as the premier fact-checking site. Snopes' legitimacy as a fact-checking organization is rooted in the idea that the editorial procedures it employed were sufficiently stringent and managed by enough strong oversight to be able to accurately, consistently confirm fact checks and debunk falsehoods on the topics that its writers generally lack domain expertise in. But if such safeguards were in place, it's hard to understand how such a practice carried out by the company's CEO could have persisted over a period of years. If this had been about a city official or a private citizen, there would have been little to say. But then again, it's unlikely that the media, with the help of the fact-checking industry, would have pounced on it the way they did. Either way, this was not a passing issue. Rather, the question of her father's career cuts to the very core of Omar's story. Whether she's a refugee who fled violence in Africa to bring a message of multicultural enlightenment to America, or the child of a war criminal who used his powerful connections to cheat the system and then grew up to do the very same thing as her father. It's this that explains the media's inability to investigate relatively clear-cut claims about Noor Omar Mohammed, but mixing in verifiable claims about him with somewhat murkier claims that Omar possibly married her brother, along with outright false claims about her being arrested 23 times, the media, with the willing help of the fact-checking industry, was able to create what it called informational stew, a mix of fact and fiction, ludicrous allegations, and truth that served to obscure the undesired reality. All of it was fired by the work of glorified blogs that, amid the Democrats' declaration of epidemic of fake news, had anointed themselves fact-checkers. That the entire endeavor was premised on the notion that this flimsy epistemological jury rig could not be corrupted, or worse, could not itself become an instrument of corruption, is truly beyond belief. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah. And this goes, in a break from decades of history, the Trump administration has started detaining virtually everyone facing deportation, even if they've lived in the U.S. for decades. which is the law. They're all supposed to be detained. It says shall be detained. Dozens of judges with increasing alarm have ruled the policy shift is illegal. So wait, even though the law says you have to detain these people if you're deporting them, because the Biden administration refused to do it, the Obama administration refused to do it, the Bush administration refused to do it, the Reagan administration refused to do it, the Clinton administration refused to do it, and so on. Obama kicked many out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. No. An issue is an interpretation of immigration law that requires detention for applicants for admission, long interpreted to mean people who are trying to come into the U.S. Those already in the U.S. have been allowed to seek bond from an immigration judge. But on July 8th, ICE reinterpreted these laws to say that the millions of people inside the U.S. borders are still applicants for admission and must be detained. This has led to indiscriminate arrests of immigrants in courthouses, routine ICE check-ins, and at their jobs. Even if they followed every requirement imposed by judges and ICE, even if they previously won release from custody, and even if they're pursuing forms of legal status like asylum and have U.S. citizenship, spouses, and children and families. Too bad. So sad. You're here illegally. Get out or go to jail. This has led to some eye-popping cases, like a Mexican man who's been in the U.S. since 1995, whose son is currently on active duty in the Air Force, or the Salvadoran woman who was still nursing a child at the time of arrest. Is the guy illegally in the country? Yes. Then he's going to be detained. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's just say so. Another U.S. District Judge Richard Boulware, a Nevada-based appointee of Barack Obama, ordered the release of 3 immigrants residing in Utah who were detained under automatic stay. One of them, Roberto Herrera, a 51-year-old citizen of Mexico, has 4 U.S. citizen children. Doesn't matter, including a 20-year-old on active duty. Herrera has been in the country since 1995, applied for a form of legal status linked to his son's military service just days before ICE arrested him. So he's been here for 30 years illegally, and then wants to go, oh, I touched go, now you can't arrest me? No, out. In another case, a mother of 2 U.S. citizen children, one of whom is still nursing at the time of arrest. Yeah, that's why we have to fix this anchor baby bullshit, because them kids aren't Americans. Judge Susan Nelson, Obama appointee, pressed the administration on a longstanding policy against detaining pregnant or nursing mothers facing only administrative violation. And the Justice Department indicated that it considered the policy revoked as a result of the Trump executive order cracking down on illegal immigration. But Nelson was skeptical. The executive order contains no reference to nursing mothers, let alone nursing mothers who lack any criminal history whatsoever, she wrote in her ruling. Not up to the judge to decide. In some cases, those targeted for deportation have actually won release from immigration judges that the Trump administration has invoked a once rare tool known as the automatic stay to keep these people locked up for months anyway. Federal judges has lied for favorite abuses of the due process. Advocates for immigrants say the Trump administration's goal is clear: make the pre-deportation process so punitive that targets give up and leave voluntarily. Yeah, go home. The administration says its allies agree that they think detention policy is a corrective to decades of catch-and-release policies that flipped incentives on their head. DHS says despite the dozens of legal defeats, they expect to prevail if and when these cases rise to the Supreme Court, because they will. More on this mega shift with this guy, Kyle Cheney, big scum. Repeat after me. Every single illegal alien needs to go. I broke the law yesterday, so I shouldn't be held against me today is the biggest FU to society you can say. No thanks. We'll just send you back where you came from. We're not surprised that your uneducated mind has no idea that Obama literally did the same exact thing, even more to the tune of 2.5 million deported. You fools just didn't notice and report it. Trump's just trying to catch up. Actually, what Obama did was deport he counted people that they turned around at the border as deportations. Here's the story from Politico. Trump's new detention policy. It was always a detention policy. Yeah. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Judges keep saying it's illegal. Well, it's not. It's actually what the statute says. Trump administration is systematically locking up immigrants while they contest government attempts to deport them, even if they've lived in the United States for decades and have no criminal record. Well, here's the thing. if they've lived here for decades and they've been working, they broke many laws. Are they using fake documents? How are they working? Are they working illegally? Are they paying taxes? They're breaking laws. You're not here for 30 years illegally and not breaking other laws. That's just not happening. This indiscriminate mass detention, a dramatic shift in immigration enforcement policy that began on July 8th, has been declared illegal by dozens of federal judges who have described it as a flagrant perversion of long-standing law, policy, and common sense. It's not, though, because they shall be detained. But the administration says its reinterpretation of the law is both legal and a key prong of President Trump's mass deportation strategy. They say no matter how long someone has resided illegally in the country, for 25 minutes or 25 years, the law just doesn't allow it. And it requires their detention while awaiting deportation. That's right. And they hope the interpretation encourages many to deport from the country voluntarily. The result has been hundreds of frantic lawsuits by immigrants who have been arrested without warning at work. How are they working if they're here illegally? Routine check-ins with immigration authorities or after immigration court proceedings. Immigration lawyers and advocates contend that they're being sent to overcrowded and unsanitary detention facilities. They can always go home. What's a 3-minute live stream? What? Reagan granted amnesty in it was 86, I think. The mass deportation led to the Baltimore arrest of a Mexican man in the United States for 30 years with no criminal record. Whatever, we saw that. A Brazilian man residing in Massachusetts who had a 1-week-old baby. Oh, well. A Salvador woman who arrived in the United States as a minor in 2016 and has 2 U.S. children. I doubt they're U.S. children. I bet you they're another illegal alien and her children, anchor babies, so they're not American citizens. What do you mean, 3-minute live? I don't know what's going on. What is going on? What am I missing? What is going on in the Rumble chat? What are you guys talking about? Immigration advocates say the goal is clear: make the process so excruciating that people give up and accept deportation, even if they have meritorious asylum claims. Well, if they've been here over a year, they don't have an asylum claim. They have to process that within a year. They're making legal arguments that judges are consistently rejecting, but they're also using a procedure to get what they want. That's what's called using the law. Immigrants are increasingly turning to the federal district courts, which historically have not handled immigration matters. That's right, they're not supposed to. As a last resort, citing violations of their legal and constitutional rights. The lawsuits have dozens of recent rulings from gobsmacked judges who say the administration violated the law. Well, and the Supreme Court says, no, they're not. Well, there you go. One judge called the interpretation of the law radical. Another said it had resulted in arbitrary arrests and turned routine immigration proceedings into an unsustainable game of detention roulette. That's how it's supposed to be. If you're here illegally, you go to jail. You didn't know I was on Rumble? Yeah, I'm on Google and YouTube and Rumble. That's a Rumble chat. See, here's YouTube. This is a Rumble chat. See, it doesn't say YouTube. YouTube, Rumble. It's a private conversation. Oh, sorry. I'll see my way out of it. Okay, the government's discretion in matters of immigration is deep and wide, but surely its chop doesn't overcome the banks of due process enshrined in the Constitution. The due process is called the Immigration Court. Another Joe Biden appointee. In many cases, judges are ordering detainees' immediate release, so long as they vow to continue attending immigration court proceedings and remain in contact. They are still likely to be deported, but the judges say they may not be held indefinitely in detention facilities while they await the outcome of their proceedings. In other cases, judges are requiring administration to give at least give immigrants a chance to seek bond from immigration judges, a fighting chance to win release. And they've tried to deny it. Homeland Security officials say they are confident the rulings of the district court will eventually be overturned by the Supreme Court and validate their strategy. Judicial activists have repeatedly overruled by the Supreme Court on these questions. ICE has the law and the facts on its side and adheres to all court decisions until it ultimately gets shot down by the highest court in the land. At heart of the recent conflict, 2 related provisions that have vexed courts for decades. One pertains to arriving immigrants who are applicants for admission and are also seeking admission to the United States. This has long been interpreted as immigration officials and courts to apply to people apprehended near the border right after they enter. Under this provision, a law of detention is mandatory, with few exceptions, and those detained have virtually no ability to challenge their confinement while deportation proceedings are underway. Does it say it only applies to people just over the border? Does it say that? Does it say it only applies to people just over the border? Does it say it only applies to people that just got here? No, it doesn't. Then it doesn't. That's how the law works. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, you have an idea for a swimming helmet? Make turtles jealous? The second provision permits but does not require immigration authorities to detain deportable immigrants who are already residing in the United States. It has long been applied to the millions of undocumented immigrants who have lived in the United States for years, often paroled to the country after encountering officials at the border. Many have, when I thought when they're encountering at the border, they're supposed to be detained. So which is it? Yeah, they just change it up. Oh, Rumble is crashing for some of the streamers. You'd rather watch here than on ScrewTube? Oh, you can always watch on both. YouTube is ass a hoe. Yeah, it can be. It can be. Many have established deep roots with U.S. citizen spouses, children, and family members. Under this provisional law, longstanding regulations permit targeted for detention to challenge the removed in immigration court, a distinct executive branch run network of courts meant to handle deportation matters. In these cases, immigration judges who are employees of the executive branch can determine whether detention is necessary to protect the public or ensure people to attend future immigration proceedings, and judges may also order their release, finding that they are likely to comply. The second provision of law was recently amended when Trump signed the Lake and Riley Act, which requires the mandatory detention of undocumented immigrants in the United States who are charged with serious crimes. Oh. So it's a law. Oh, okay. But everything changed when Todd Lyons, acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, issued a memo declaring the Trump administration had reinterpreted the decisions of law. From that point on, Lyons concluded anyone in the United States illegally, no matter how long, would be deemed applicants for admission or subject to mandatory detention. By classifying virtually all deportation targets as applicants for admission, the administration has attempted to eliminate their opportunity to seek bond. ICE recently got some backup from judges on the Board of Immigration Appeals, an executive branch court that sets policy for immigration courts. Aliens who surreptitiously cross into the United States remain applicants for admission until and unless they are lawfully inspected and admitted by an immigration officer. The ruling is binding on all immigration judges who, in some cases, have been rejecting the administration's view of the mandatory detention. The Justice Department has begun alerting federal judges case by case to the BIA's ruling as it attempts to stave off further defeats. But the federal judiciary is not bound by decisions of the executive branch immigration courts, and so far, judges across the country have decisively rejected the BIA's interpretation of the law. One judge in Iowa recently took the BIA ruling head on, saying she found the decision neither compelling nor persuasive and would not factor it into her consideration. Case law and history do not support mandatory detention for all non-citizens present in the United States. U.S. District Judge, an Obama appointee in Iowa wrote. Well, it's all Obama and Biden appointees. You notice that? Okay. Well, make sure you like and subscribe on Rumble, too. I appreciate it. In September, U.S. District Judge Edward Chen, an Obama appointee, echoed Ebinger, finding the BIA ruling lacks persuasive power. I mean, don't they understand what admission means? Many judges have ruled against the administration in the recent weeks have pointed to this discrepancy, and they've already noted their legal interpretation by ICE has other perverse effect that the Lake and Riley Act's changes to mandatory detention become superfluous, since there is no need for a mandatory detention scheme for those who are charged with serious crimes if anyone facing deportation could be detained anyway. There would have been no need for the Lake and Riley Act to create these additional categories because all non-citizens who are present in the United States and have not been admitted would have already been ineligible for bond. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the Supreme Court says. By another Biden appointee. So far, nearly all judges who have weighed challenges to the admission detention rules have ruled the same way. One Trump-appointed judge joined their ranks last month. At least one judge sided with the administration. Massachusetts-based jurist appointed by H.W. Bush agreed with the administration that anyone unlawfully present in the United States can be considered an applicant for admission, subject to mandatory detention. And that's what the Supreme Court's going to find, too. The Supreme Court's going to say, oh, did they get admitted? Then they're an applicant for admission. There's one pending case that could lead to a nationwide block of the administration policy. U.S. District Judge Sunshine Sykes, a Biden appointee, is weighing a California-based lawsuit brought by the ACLU that is called October 17th hearing to decide whether to approve a class action and vacate the July 8th memo. Well, that would be rapidly to the Supreme Court if she does that. What is this? First we had the Sparkle Suknanen, and now we have Sunshine Sykes. What the fuck? Is Biden going to strip clubs to pick these? Advocates say one reason it's taking a while to mount a legal challenge to the policy is partly because the Supreme Court's recent decision emphasizing that detention cases, also known as petitions for a writ of habeas corpus, must be filed in a district where a person is detained. In addition, hundreds of cases brought since the policy rollout are nearly all filed on an emergency basis following an abrupt arrest in an immigration court hallway, without the benefit of time to assemble a class action or nationwide case. These cases are all a little bit different. It's not as easy to come up with a class action. The administration's Trump card. The Trump administration mass detention strategy doesn't end with its new interpretation. Federal judges are also increasingly alarmed by the maneuver the administration uses when it doesn't get its way in court. In a spate of recent cases, some immigrants who Homeland Security claim are subject to mandatory detention have convinced immigration judges that the immigration's new interpretation of law is wrong. And in many cases, those immigration judges have granted their release, saying they pose no risk. That's when DHS played a Trump card, the automatic stay. It's a regulation that allows the department to unilaterally stop an immigration judge's release order for at least 90 days while DHS appeals. And there are options to extend it even further. Mm-hmm. 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 FBI was after Tom Homan. From what I'm reading, it was all a bunch of bullshit. Automatic stay was adopted in 2001 and finalized in 2006, intended to be deployed in only limited circumstances. Well, and increasingly, federal judges have ruled deployment of automatic stay is unconstitutional. They've ordered immigration detained as a result the stay to be released. Automatic stay is a violent disorder of proper, whatever. Rubin wrote, district judge, a Clinton appointee based in Nebraska, wrote another ruling. Despite neutral decision-making, finding a bond was warranted. The automatic stay provision allowed DHS who lost to unilaterally deprive the petitioner of liberty. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens when it gets to the Supreme Court. That's what we're going to see. That's where it's going. Going to the Supreme Court. Where do I want to send everybody? No, not there. Send them over there. Okay. Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody who's been here tonight. It was a great show. And I'll see you all again Monday and Tuesday night. Joe isn't streaming at all Monday or Tuesday because of the Rosh Hashanah. So I will stream both Monday and Tuesday to fill the gap and the void. And I hope to see you all then and let Jim tell you the news.